Chapter 933. Elder Dong Bo of the Teachers of the Convention has also submitted his name list. This news rapidly spread amongst the genius cultivators. At that moment, many of them rushed over to the Star Convention. According to the rules of the convention, the moment the 5 teachers of the convention submitted their name lists, the Star Convention would announce the name list of the participants. I hope I'm on the name list. I must be on it. Many genius cultivators entered the venue of the Star Convention and looked in the direction of the Star Pagoda. They were waiting for the final name list to be announced. Many of them were nervous. Should they continue to be mediocre cultivators in the vast sacred world, or should they ascend to the sky in a single step and enter the holy grounds? Some of them had cultivated for less than 1 trillion years and were qualified to participate in the next Star Convention. As for those who had cultivated for a longer period, they would not have another chance if they missed this opportunity. It was too difficult to step into the primal chaos realm by relying on oneself to temper oneself in danger. How many primal chaos giants did a sacred world have over the long years? Like the 2 great sacred worlds, almost half of the primal chaos giants belonged to the holy grounds. As for the remaining primal chaos giants, some were originally from the holy grounds. It's just that as cosmos gods fell, those holy grounds disappeared, and they could only rely on themselves. Strictly speaking, 70% to 80% of the primal chaos giants were nurtured by cosmos gods. The remaining 20% to 30% had all sorts of fortuitous encounters. Without sufficient fortuitous encounters, it was too difficult to rely on oneself to reach the primal chaos realm. Even if they were adventuring outside, most would not dare to kill disciples from the holy grounds. As for those who did not have any background, many had died. I must enter. I must be on the name list. I must be on it. These genius cultivators looked up in anticipation. They were waiting nervously. Hong! Following that, a grand aura surged. High up in the sky by the side of the Star Pagoda, 5 rows of name lists appeared. At the forefront of every list were the names of the teachers of the convention. For instance, the name list submitted by Dongbu Shuang was on the 5th row: Elder Dong Bo, Swordsman Yun Chen, Xinghua Sun Yi, Mao Jia, my name, my name. These genius cultivators all raised their heads and looked carefully. High up in the sky, there were the names of the 5 teachers of the convention and the 100 genius cultivators. Every teacher had 20 names. No. Some genius cultivators looked at it in a daze. They did not dare believe it. It's me. There were also those who were chosen who revealed excited expressions. There were also some chosen genius cultivators who saw their names still standing coldly in the sky, but their slightly upturned lips revealed their emotions. There were only a few who were truly excited and happy. The teachers of the convention would choose 100 people. Adding the 100 from the Star Pagoda preliminaries, there would only be a total of 200 people. There were more than 16,000 participants in the Star Convention, and the rest had all failed. I've been chosen by General Hatchet Palace Master. Fu Jun, who was dressed in simple robes, raised his head. His eyes were emitting a dazzling light. He turned his head and looked at the distant red-robed woman. That was his former Dao companion. I didn't expect that Xinghua Sun Yi would also be chosen. With his strength and the fact that he was taught by Xinghua Emperor, I'm afraid that many rogue cultivators have higher potential than him. Yet, he was actually chosen. When Fu Jun saw Xinghua Sun's name among the huge names in the sky, he could not help but sneer inwardly. Xinghua Sun Yi had seen through his wife's disguise. Fu Jun didn't feel grateful towards Xinghua Sun Yi, but he didn't feel any hatred either. He just didn't want to see Xinghua Sun Yi again. But when he saw the name list, Fu Jun was slightly disdainful. He felt that the other party must have relied on his father's background to enter the name list. It's useless. The path of cultivation depends on oneself. Even if you enter the sacred ground, you still won't have a future. Fu Jun glanced at the distant golden-robed young man and couldn't be bothered to look at him anymore. He didn't want to see his wife Ni Yan, and he didn't want to see Xinghua Sun Yi either. Xinghua Sun Yi raised his head and looked at the name in the sky. With a glance, he knew that Dongbua Shuang had chosen him. Elder Dongbua has acknowledged my potential? Xinghua Sunyi was slightly excited. There's no rush. He said that he wants to see the potential I display in the entire Star Convention. After the Star Convention ends, I might be able to successfully take him as my master. The red-robed Yen raised her head and looked. Without a doubt, she who had an ordinary ranking and cultivated for a long time was not on the name list. But Fu Jun and Xinghua Sunyi, who had a close relationship with her, were on the name list. Fu Jun's potential is indeed extraordinary. Xinghua Sunyi's background is also impressive. Even though his ranking is lower than mine, he was still chosen. It's a pity that I lost to him. Yen sneered. She turned and left the Star Convention. She had lost quite badly this time. The huge names that appeared in the void beside the majestic Star Pagoda could be seen even from far away. General Hatchet Palace Master, who was in his cave dwelling, was drinking scarlet wine by himself. The seemingly weak and skinny General Hatchet Palace Master raised his head and saw the names in the sky beside the Star Pagoda. His gaze landed on the name that Dongbua Shuang had submitted. Strange. This Dongbua Shuang doesn't seem like a foolish person. Why did he choose Xinghua's son? To curry favor with Xinghua? General Hatchet Palace Master shook his head slightly. He chose Xinghua Sunyi. Violet Slaughter Island Master also walked out of the palace hall. She raised her head and looked at the names that appeared in the sky. Her face revealed a look of astonishment. Xinghua Emperor shouldn't have forced him, right? If he wants his son to enter the sacred ground, he definitely has other methods. There's no need for him to do it in such an ugly manner. Could it be that Dongbua Shuang is doing Xinghua Emperor a favor on purpose? Even though Xinghua Emperor had other methods to force his son into the sacred ground, he would need to use a favor to do so. Since Dongbua Shuang had done so, Xinghua Emperor would have to be indebted to him. In the end, he's only at the Unity Realm. Violet Slaughter Island Master shook her head and curled her lips. She couldn't be bothered with this matter any longer. General Heavenlight was still meditating. When he saw the name list, he merely sneered, laughable. Back then, I guessed that he would embarrass the Great Void Heaven Temple. The cold and evil five-luster serpent ancestor raised his head and looked at the names in the sky. Following which, he lowered his head and continued drinking his wine. As Xinghua Sunyi was completely focused on the Tao of Mirage, other than asking Dongbua Shuang for pointers, he did not ask the other 4 teachers of the convention for pointers. General Hatchet Palace Master and the other 3 teachers of the convention naturally judged Xinghua Sunyi's potential to be beyond the top 5,000. They also felt that Dongbua Shuang was too unsightly. To be so arrogant in front of me, it turns out that you despise me for giving too little. Bayun Palace Master was also staying in a cavern dwelling arranged by Blade Emperor City. It was very close to the Star Tower. He raised his head and sneered, with Xinghua Emperor's identity, he shouldn't be doing this. I reckon that his son, Xinghua Sunyi, has taken out treasures to bribe Dongbua Shuang. For example, taking out 1 or 2,000 origin world rocks was enough to move the hearts of ordinary primal chaos existences. Dongbua Shuang would definitely be moved. With Xinghua Sunyi's identity, he could still take it out even if he clenched his teeth. After all, with Xinghua Emperor's identity, he could look down on ordinary primal chaos existences. He could easily kill them. Naturally, the treasures he had far surpassed what Bayun Palace Master and the others had. Actually, when they saw this name list, the others were still fine. At most, they felt that Dongbua Shuang's table manners were somewhat unsightly and that he had lost the face of the Great Void Heaven Temple. But the other, inquisitive Sky Hall Master, who came from the Great Void Heaven Temple was truly enraged. Dongbua Shuang, how could he? Inquisitive Sky Hall Master received the name list with slight disbelief. When he saw the names that appeared beside the Star Tower, he looked at it again and again. Behind the name Elder Dongbua, there was indeed Xinghua Sunyi. How could he do this? Forefather trusted him and thought highly of him, allowing him to become the teacher of this convention and represent our great void heaven temple. Inquisitive Sky Hall Master had an ugly expression. Even though he did not understand the situation during the selection, he could guess that Forefather Tianyu must have spent quite a lot of effort to allow a Unity Realm expert to become the teacher of the convention. But this is how he repaid Forefather. It is fine if he is shameless, but our great void heaven temple still has our face. Inquisitive Sky Hall Master's expression became uglier. He originally had a good impression of Dongbu Shuang. This was the strongest rising expert among the younger generations of the great void heaven temple. Inquisitive Sky Hall Master and the others had high expectations of him and were even thinking of ways to protect him. Knowing that Dongbu Shuang was in danger, he would personally teleport through an ultra-long distance, sending his incarnations to rush over. Inquisitive Sky Hall Master and the others were looking forward to the day when Dongbu Shuang would break through and become a Hall Master like them. But this time, Inquisitive Sky Hall Master was enraged at Dongbu Shuang. Your greatest backing, Dongbu Shuang, is our great void heaven temple. Why do you need to curry favor with Xinghua Emperor? Isn't our great void heaven temple 10 or 100 times stronger than Xinghua Emperor? Chapter 934. Shuang returned to his cavern dwelling after leaving Heart Imitation Religious Master's place. Just as he sat down and took out a flask of wine, he had yet to pour it when the protector entered the courtyard, reporting, "Elder, Inquisitive Sky Hall Master seeks an audience." Inquisitive Sky Hall Master? Dongbu Shuang was startled. He immediately stood up and took a few steps before arriving at the entrance of the cave dwelling. Inquisitive Sky Hall Master is looking for me. Send a message and I will rush over. Dongbu Shuang was about to say a few more words, but he noticed that Inquisitive Sky Hall Master's originally black face no longer had a trace of a smile on it. He looked at Dongbu Shuang calmly and coldly before walking inside. "Let's talk inside." Dongbu Shuang was slightly startled. Inquisitive Sky Hall Master didn't seem right. Following Inquisitive Sky Hall Master, Dongbu Shuang said passionately, "The Star Convention selection of genius cultivators might be simple, but I didn't dare to be negligent. After all, it is an open task, and I have to do it well. Now that the name list has been decided, I am much more relaxed." Just as I took out a flask of wine brewed from the primitive ancient sacred world's wheat maple leaf, before I could drink it, Hall Master came. "Hall Master, please accompany me for a few more cups." "You are relaxed because you have done it well?" Inquisitive Sky Hall Master stopped and turned to look at Dongbu Shuang. Dongbu Shuang was stunned. "You feel that it is well done?" Inquisitive Sky Hall Master asked again. "Because the first 4 teachers of the convention submitted the name list first, I cannot repeat it with them. Thus, I had to modify it multiple times. But the candidates are all not bad." Dongbu Shuang said. "All not bad?" Inquisitive Sky Hall Master nodded. "Then what do you think of Xinghua Sunyi?" "He is very good, very good. He is the best candidate in the name list." Dongbu Shuang saw Inquisitive Sky Hall Master's expression and immediately understood. "Ha, Hall Master, are you angry because I chose Xinghua Sunyi? Are you worried that I will disregard my reputation and try to please Xinghua Emperor? How can I be that kind of person?" "Hall Master, you can be at ease. You are not the teacher of the convention, so you should not know how astonishing Xinghua Sunyi's improvement is in these 1,000 years." Shocking. Inquisitive Sky Palace Master was stunned. He could tell that Dongbu Shuang had a card up his sleeve. His anger turned into doubt. What kind of improvement can he make? He had cultivated for 500 billion years, but this was also the case. He had all the treasures he wanted, and he didn't lack pointers from experts. It's only been 1,000 years, how much progress can there be? This wasn't just the thought of Inquisitive Sky Hall Master. Quite a few primal chaos giants had the same thought after seeing the name list. Cultivation required a gradual accumulation. Even if Dongbu Shuang was talented, after reaching the 5th level of Star Pagoda, he had to slowly accumulate and cultivate for a long time. Even his spirit had reached the My Heart as the World realm before reaching the 6th floor of Star Tower. These genius cultivators had cultivated for at least tens of billions of years, while the longest had cultivated for over 1 trillion years. Such a long period, just 1,000 years, was not worth mentioning. Like Xinghua Sun Yi and those with a background, they had resources and pointers. This 1,000 years would not be enough for them to improve. It was only those loose cultivators who had cultivated for a long period, and had accumulated too many perplexities. Now, they could obtain pointers from existences like General Hatchet Palace Master. Dongbua Shuang was also the strongest Unity Realm expert in the two great sacred worlds, and his guidance was similarly precious. This guidance would dispel many of the perplexities the loose cultivators had, and they would have a sudden improvement in their strength. 1,000 years. Only loose cultivators could have a huge improvement. General Hatchet Palace Master, Violet Slaughter Island Master, General Heavenlight, Five Luster Serpent Ancestor, and others did not think that Xinghua Sun Yi would improve. Improvement required accumulation. Unless Xinghua Sun Yi had many perplexities in the past. Without the guidance of apex experts. It's a pity that Xinghua Sun Yi's father was a 9th-level Star Pagoda existence. Relying on the relationship of his father, he could easily seek guidance from many primal chaos giants. His cultivation conditions would likely be better than seeking guidance from the 5 teachers of the convention. He has a huge improvement. Dongbua Shuang chuckled. The other 4 teachers of the convention should know about it. General Heaven Light even transmitted a message to me. His words sounded nice, but it was full of ridicule. Inquisitive Sky Hall Master shook his head. If Xinghua Sun Yi has truly improved, he should not have sought guidance from General Heaven Light. Dongbua Shuang was slightly startled. Wait a moment. Dongbua Shuang immediately transmitted a message to Xinghua Emperor. Xinghua Emperor was interested in befriending him, and the two naturally left behind their communication imprints. Monarch, has Xinghua Sun Yi sought guidance from the other teachers of the convention? Dongbua Shuang transmitted a question. Elder Dongbua, I've seen the name list you chose. The other 4 teachers of the convention did not choose my son. You are the only one. I've even asked this brat, and he said that the other 4 teachers do not know the Tao of Mirage, and that there is no need for him to waste his time. Xinghua Emperor transmitted a message over. Indeed, Xinghua Sun Yi was not like those loose cultivators. His horizons were very high, and he did not feel that it was a rare opportunity to seek guidance from the other 4 teachers of the convention. He was even too lazy to do so. He was wholeheartedly focused on the Tao of Mirage. And in the laws and profound mysteries system of the 5 great sacred worlds, the one with the highest attainments in the Tao of Mirage was Dongbua Shuang. The moment Dongbua Shuang relied on the Tao of Mirage to reach the primal chaos realm, he would be the first primal chaos expert in the Tao of Mirage in history. It was no wonder. After all, there were only a total of 20 primal chaos experts in the laws and profound mysteries system. The Tao of Mirage was one of the more obscure Tao paths in the laws and profound mysteries system. Those like the Tao of Slaughter were the most commonly seen. You saved my son. This is a huge favor, I can't thank you with words. Everything will be remembered in my heart. Xinghua Emperor transmitted over. He did not explain in detail. Since he said this, it was clear that he was extremely grateful to Dongbua Shuang. For the sake of saving his son, he had even sought guidance from several cosmos gods. Now that his son was working hard once again, Xinghua Emperor was naturally happy. Furthermore, his son had said that he wanted to take Dongbua Shuang as his teacher. In the future, his relationship with Dongbua Shuang would naturally become closer. After Dongbua Shuang finished transmitting with Xinghua Emperor, he said to Inquisitive Sky Hall Master, I've asked Xinghua Emperor about it, and it seems that this brat Xinghua Sun Yi has only sought guidance from me. He has not sought guidance from the other 4 teachers of the convention. Has he really improved greatly? Inquisitive Sky Hall Master could not help but ask. Really? Unless I'm lying about this? In the public battle 10,000 years later, Xinghua Sun Yi will have to fight too. If I were to lie, wouldn't I be exposed? Dongbua Shuang chuckled. But why would he? He hasn't improved much over the past 500 billion years. How could he improve so much in such a short period? Inquisitive Sky Hall Master felt puzzled too. Dongbui Shuang hesitated for a moment. Heartache, it was a disgraceful matter. Xinghua Emperor had asked him for help previously, and asked him to keep it a secret and not leak it out. After all, he had become Dao companions with a girl from the illusory realm, and he ended up feeling heartache. That was indeed disgraceful. In the intelligence he had previously obtained, there were no records of Xinghua Sunyi feeling heartache. Unquestionably. Even though Xinghua Emperor had sought help from several primal chaos giants and cosmos gods who specialized in the illusory realm, he had definitely asked them to keep it a secret. What identity did they have? It was unlikely for them to spread this matter out. There are some minor reasons. Dongbui Shuang did not explain in detail. He chuckled, but currently, he has indeed improved greatly. How about this? Inquisitive Sky Hall Master can check the scene from a few decades ago when he came to ask for my help. Oh? Inquisitive Sky Hall Master nodded. Even though Dongbui Shuang said it sincerely, and it did not seem fake since there was no need to lie at this point, Inquisitive Sky Hall Master still did not dare believe it. With Xinghua Sunyi's background and identity, how could he improve so much in just 1,000 years if he only had that little bit of strength after 500 billion years? Inquisitive Sky Hall Master's eyes looked ahead. A dim light shot out from his eyes, causing the scene ahead to distort. Schwa. Very soon, the scene reversed to a few decades ago, when Xinghua Sunyi asked for help from Dongbui Shuang. Seeing that scene, Inquisitive Sky Hall Master revealed a look of shock and disbelief. Tao of Mirage? Inquisitive Sky Hall Master was startled. He actually pushed the Tao of Mirage to the Unity Realm? And this strength is at the 4th level Star Pagoda strength? Dongbui Shuang chuckled and nodded. Over 900 years, with the help of Xinghua Emperor, Xinghua Sunyi cultivated in the Time Pagoda in Blade Emperor City that was 10,000 times faster than normal. Even though cultivating at the Unity Realm would require around 200,000 origin world rocks for 100 million years, and even cosmos gods would not be so extravagant. But because it was just a short 1,000 years, it would only require 2 origin world rocks at a time 10,000 times faster than normal. Cultivating for more than 9 million years, with the best cultivation conditions, treasures that aided in cultivation, in addition to his own accumulations, and the fact that he could ask for help from Dongbui Shuang, Xinghua Sunyi had indeed reached the Unity Realm in the Tao of Mirage. That time, after Dongbui Shuang reached the Unity Realm in the Tao of Mirage, he soon grasped the Dark Bubble and directly reached the 5th level Star Pagoda strength. But even though Xinghua Sunyi was formidable, it was clear that his talent in the Tao of Mirage was slightly weaker than Dongbui Shuang. But he had grasped the second style of the absolute art created by Dongbui Shuang, the Mirage Annihilation. Inquisitive Sky Hall Master watched as the scene of Xinghua Sunyi asking for help from Dongbui Shuang appeared in front of him. The more he watched, the happier he became. If I remember correctly, there was only a single person who got through the 4th level Star Pagoda during the preliminary selections. Inquisitive Sky Hall Master said, and now, Xinghua Sunyi has such strength. In other words, his strength should be ranked in the top 3. Dongbui Shuang nodded with a smile. I've said before that he is the best in the name list. Since he did not ask for help from the other 4 teachers of the convention, then it is likely that there will be some ugly rumors spreading in the outside world. Why don't you tell the other 4 teachers of the convention? You must not tell them. Inquisitive Sky Hall Master shook his head. He said delightedly, General Tianguang has deliberately transmitted a message to me with sarcasm. Humph, so be it if it's a rumor. Just let them spread it. Just 10,000 years later, the final battle will be held publicly. By then, Xinghua Sunyi will be incomparably dazzling. I am looking forward to seeing their shocked expressions. Furthermore, by then, all the cultivators paying attention to the Star Convention will know that the teachers of the convention sent by the holy ground of the laws and profound mysteries lineage, the Great Void Heaven Temple, are the ones with the highest standards when it comes to selecting talented cultivators. Chapter 935. Inquisitive Sky Hall Master was not willing to inform the other 4 teachers of the convention, and Dongbu Shuang naturally did not object. Even though there would be some rumors, firstly, it was a short period of time, and secondly, there were few who felt that it was unfair for Dongbu Shuang to choose Xinghua Sun Yi. The genius cultivators participating in the convention were very concerned. They would gather information, and they would understand that Xinghua Sun Yi was the son of Xinghua Emperor. He had cultivated for 500 billion years, yet his star pagoda ranking was merely in the 3600s. They would feel that it was unfair, and some of the higher-ups of the 6 great holy grounds would also know about it. As for the ordinary cultivators, they did not have detailed information on Xinghua Sun Yi. They might even think that Xinghua Sun Yi was a loose cultivator. Hence, they felt that Dongbu Shuaying's actions were unsightly. It was mainly a portion of the 16,000 genius cultivators participating in the convention, and a portion of the members of the 6 great holy grounds. The Star Pagoda preliminaries would select 100, and the teachers of the convention would select 100. After these 200 were selected, they would be qualified to enter the Pagoda of Time in Blade Emperor City and undergo a 100-time acceleration cultivation. In reality, it was 1,000,000 years of cultivation. Furthermore, they could casually read through a large number of scriptures, and these were the more fundamental scriptures provided by the 6 great holy grounds. Because these 200 would eventually enter the 6 great holy grounds, and the 6 great holy grounds would be able to exchange their fundamental scriptures. Other than that, they would also provide some precious treasures. 1,000,000 years, countless scriptures, and being able to seek guidance from the teachers of the convention, this 1,000,000 years was simply a dream for many loose cultivators. If loose cultivators wanted to obtain a formidable absolute art, they would have to stake their lives and even rely on luck before they could obtain it. But now, a large number of absolute arts were placed in front of them. Xinghua Sun Yi had to obediently follow the rules. Under the arrangements of the convention, he would undergo a 100-time acceleration cultivation like the other chosen cultivators. On this day, Dongbu Shuang looked at the rising sun. It has been 10,000 years. Today is the day that this group of young fellows will battle. To him, 10,000 years was truly a short period of time. If it weren't for the occasional genius cultivators who came to ask for guidance, if he really calmed his heart and cultivated, 10,000 years would feel like a mere moment after some deduction and comprehension. South. After leaving the cave, Dongbu Shuang streaked across the sky. Inquisitive Sky Palace Master also flew over from afar. Dongbu. Inquisitive Sky Hall Master and Dongbu Shuang were flying side by side. Even though this 10,000 years is short, there are still some fellows discussing in the dark, especially that one called Bayun Palace Master. I've heard that he has been talking about this matter with quite a few primal chaos giants. He even said that he wants to see you become a joke during the ranking battle. Bayun. Dongbu Shuang shook his head. This person was indeed narrow-minded and selfish. However, there were all sorts of cultivators, and extremely selfish ones were also very common. Those who submitted to me would prosper, and those who opposed me would perish. It was very normal for Bayun Palace Master to bear a grudge against him because of this matter. Laughing at me? Dongbu Shuang laughed. I'm afraid he won't have the chance. That's right, the Inquisitive Heavens Palace Master revealed a smile. So. The two of them flew to the venue of the Star Convention. The seating arrangement was the same as when the Star Convention was held. Dongbu Shuang was seated at the furthest of the 5 seats to the left of Heart Imitation Religious Master. Primal Chaos Giants came one after another. As for the genius cultivators who came to participate in the convention, they had all arrived long ago. Even though many of them were not chosen, they wanted to watch this public battle and see the gap in strength between them. There were also many cultivators in Blade Emperor City. Some were even children. They were looking forward to watching the battle. The 5 teachers of the convention have chosen 100 cultivators. The other 99 are fine, but that Xinghua Sun Yi is unquestionably someone who relied on his background. He is the least qualified one. The many genius cultivators who were watching the battle felt indignant after knowing that they were not chosen. I've said before that he should not be a teacher of the convention. His foresight is clearly not as good as the other 4 teachers of the convention. It's not that his foresight is lacking. Instead, he is more easily bribed. Many genius cultivators were discussing through voice transmissions. Many of them were filled with resentment. If Xinghua Sun-yi was not chosen, this slot might be given to one of them. Let's see. That Xinghua Sun-yi is merely ranked 3600th in the Star Pagoda preliminaries. In a while, he will be exposed during the battle. Heart imitation religious master's voice was grand and mighty. It reverberated in the ears of every cultivator in the Star Convention, and even in their hearts. This time, the 200 cultivators who pass through the preliminaries will be split into 5 groups. 2 victors will be decided from each group. Ultimately, the 10 victors will fight against each other, and the top 5 will be decided based on their battle achievements. These top 5 can choose any of the 6 great holy grounds to join. Naturally, they will become core members of the holy ground and receive nurturing. Now, the first group will begin. Heart imitation religious master's voice was gentle, yet it caused all the spectators to turn silent. Their gazes landed on a battle platform that was 50,000 kilometers long. At this moment, so many figures flew onto the battle platform. There were a total of 40 of them. This was the first group. During the arrangement of the battles, Heart imitation religious master was in charge of arranging it. He would split some of the more powerful genius cultivators into 5 groups. Even so, there would still be 2 victors in each group. Furthermore, even if there were some extremely talented cultivators in a group, the other 200 would have to challenge the Star Pagoda. The teachers of the convention would then select another 5. Regardless, the purpose of the Star Convention was to select the 10 best genius cultivators. Hong. Hua. The 40 genius cultivators engaged in a chaotic battle on the battle platform. Some were blasted out of the platform, while others activated their survival treasures. Every one of them temporarily obtained a survival treasure that could be activated instantly. But the moment they activated their survival treasure, it would signify their defeat. They would have to obediently leave the battle platform. Being blasted out of the platform would signify their defeat, and the final 2 remaining on the platform would be the victors. Almost a breath of time later, there were only 8 genius cultivators left. The rest had been eliminated. Another 2 breaths of time later, there were only 3 genius cultivators left. Hong. The black cloud rumbled on the body of a genius cultivator, causing him to spurt out blood and fly out of the platform. After he flew out, he stared at the tall and big young man on the platform, thinking, Song Cheong Tianyun, you are ruthless. The first group included Song Cheong Tianyun. He was the only 4th-level Star Pagoda expert in the Star Pagoda selections, and he had a clear advantage over the others. Previously, Song Cheong Tianyun was the strongest of the 3 remaining cultivators, and the other 2 were comparable in strength. This cultivator who was blasted out of the platform even transmitted a message to Song Cheong Tianyun, asking for his help, and he would definitely reward him with 10 Origin World Rocks. Who would have thought? Song Cheong Tianyun directly blasted him down. Song Cheong Tianyun is really formidable. He has a huge advantage. He is unquestionably the strongest cultivator in the first group. Even though the battle was fast, the spectators could see Song Cheong Tianyun's strength. Second group. Third group. The selection of the groups was quick. Soon, it was time for the third group. The 40 cultivators of the third group flew up the battle platform. Amongst them was the golden-robed young man, Xinghua Sun-yi. Just based on his appearance and temperament, Xinghua Sun-yi was relatively eye-catching. Xinghua Sun-yi is up. Look, in a while, he is going to be exposed. The genius cultivators who were not selected felt that it was unfair. They wanted to embarrass that unfair teacher of the convention, Dongbo Shuang. If the person he selected, Xinghua Sun-yi, were to lose miserably, it would naturally prove that he had no foresight and was unfair. It was not just the spectators below. Even the primal chaos giants on the high platform were paying close attention. They came to watch the convention, and had naturally heard of some rumors. Some of them could not help but glance at Dongbu Shuang, who was seated at the furthest corner of the 5 teachers of the convention. Dongbu Shuang sat there calmly, watching the battle that was about to begin on the enormous battle platform. General Heavenlight glanced at Dongbu Shuang with the corner of his eyes before continuing to watch the battle that was about to begin. Hong, the battle immediately erupted. The golden-robed young man Xinghua Sunyi suddenly erupted with a layer of white light. This white illusory light enveloped the other 39 genius cultivators on the battle platform. This was none other than Xinghua Sunyi's ancient cultivation illusory realm. Having reached such a realm in the Tao of Mirage, and having grasped the illusory mirage annihilation created by Dongbu Shuang, his original ancient cultivation illusory realm had naturally reached a brand new level. The terrifying illusory realm power caused close to half a day of cultivators present to fall into it. There were a few who struggled to stay awake, and only a few who remained completely awake. At the same time when he unleashed his illusory realm, Xinghua Sunyi waved his hand. Hong, the fiery light abruptly charged against the bodies of the surrounding genius cultivators. His Tao of Mirage was at the 4th level Star Pagoda strength, and his bloodline cultivation did not improve by much, though it was still at the 3rd level strength. Currently, under the group attack, those who had fallen into the illusory realm or were struggling to stay awake could hardly resist. The fiery impact swept out, blasting many genius cultivators out of the battle platform. Only 8 of them were still able to resist. They were relatively strong, and their cultivation hearts were formidable too. But the 8 of them were looking at Xinghua Sunyi with slight shock and disbelief. Not just them. Those genius cultivators below the platform who wanted to see Xinghua Sunyi expose himself and wanted to prove that the teacher of the convention, Dongbu Shuang, was unfair, had their mouths wide open. This was the strength of someone ranked 3,600th in the Star Pagoda preliminary selection. Why did it feel that he was even more tyrannical than the first-ranked Sung Cheong Tianyun? And on the high platform, many primal chaos giants were shocked. Some could not help but look at that white-robed young man. Congratulations, Xinghua Emperor. Congratulations. Some primal chaos giants began conversing with Xinghua Emperor. They had good foresight. Controlling the illusory realm was definitely his own strength. It was impossible for it to be an external force. And over at the side of the 5 teachers of the convention, General Hatchet Palace Master glanced at the leftmost Dongbu Shuang with interest. He revealed a grin and thought, interesting. In just 10,000 years, Xinghua Sunyi has actually improved so much, and it is an illusory realm too? Dongbu Shuang is also famous for his illusory realm. Elder Dongbu. Violet Slaughter Island Master's smile was absolutely beautiful. It was filled with a shocking allure, truly formidable, truly formidable. No wonder you chose this Xinghua Sunyi. In my opinion, he might be stronger than Sung Cheong Tianyun. Dongbu Shuang said instead, the illusory realm specializes in group attacks. As for who is stronger between this brat Sunyi and Sung Cheong Tianyun, we can only know during the final battle.
Chapter 936. I am curious. General Hatchet Palace Master turned around and chuckled. Xinghua Sunyi has cultivated for 500 billion years in the past, yet his illusory realm has become so formidable. Unless Xinghua could not find a good teacher for his son after so many years? His comprehension ability must be high for him to improve so much in such a short period. But with such a high comprehension ability, even if he does not have a good teacher, he should not be as weak as he was in the beginning. Elder Dongbo, can you dispel my doubts? Haha. By the side, Xinghua Emperor chuckled. General Hatchet, I can only say that Elder Dongbo is indeed the cultivator with the greatest attainment in the laws and profound mystery system in the Tao of Mirage. His understanding of the illusory realm is amazing. Under his guidance, my son's understanding of the illusory realm has improved by leaps and bounds. I am very grateful to Elder Dongbo for digging out the potential of my son in the illusory realm. I have made the right choice in coming to this star convention. General Hatchet Palace Master was clearly asking Dongbu Shuang, yet Xinghua Emperor took the initiative to interrupt. But the other primal chaos giants present were echoing along. What a joke. Heart Imitation Religious Master, General Hatchet Palace Master, Xinghua Emperor, they were the three strongest existences present. They stood at the pinnacle of the primal chaos realm. They killed experts from the 7th floor of Star Tower in an instant. Killing those at the 8th level of Star Tower was an absolute suppression. Most could eliminate them with a few more moves. Their statuses were equivalent to the Unity Realm experts from the 7th floor of Star Tower. Hence, even the prideful General Heaven Light and the others revealed a smile even if they did not say anything. This Unity Realm brat actually made Xinghua Emperor protect and be grateful to him. General Heaven Light sat by the side of Dongbu Shuang. Many thoughts flashed in his mind. He could sense that Xinghua Emperor was truly grateful to Dongbu Shuang. He could also feel the boundless joy of Xinghua Emperor. Could it be that Xinghua Sun Yi's potential has really been unearthed by Dongbu Shuang? General Heaven Light was in slight disbelief. Since Xinghua Emperor had already said it, what could General Tianguang do if he didn't believe it? In the world of cultivators, respect for the strong had long been ingrained in their bones. Other than Dongbu Shuang, who was a Unity Realm expert, the others were all at the Primal Chaos Realm. From this, one could see how ordinary it was. Actually, it was normal. Primal Chaos giants could reach the 7th floor of Star Tower as long as they had sufficient accumulations. And in the Primal Chaos void of the 5 great sacred worlds, there was no Unity Realm expert on the 7th floor of Star Tower in this era.
Primal Chaos Realm experts were naturally looking down on Unity Realm experts from a high position. Any incarnation they casually sent would be at the 5th or 6th level Star Pagoda strength, and could easily slaughter a large group of Unity Realm experts. Originally, they looked down on Dongbu Shuang in terms of strength. But after that, Dongbu Shuang actually disregarded his face and chose Xinghua Sun Yi. It made them look down on him even more. But now, it was a complete reversal. Firstly, Xinghua Sun Yi's strength was so terrifying. More importantly, he was very weak during the preliminary selections. Clearly, he had improved greatly within a short period. And the other 4 teachers of the convention did not choose him. Clearly, they did not know how frightening Xinghua Sun Yi's improvement was. If they knew, General Hatchet Palace Master and the others would definitely choose him. Only Dongbu Shuang knew and chose him. And it was an illusory realm. Even though they did not know how Dongbu Shuang did it, and how did he make Xinghua Sun Yi so formidable, it made them admire this Unity Realm teacher of the convention even more. Secondly, and also the most important, they could feel that Xinghua Emperor was very grateful and protective of Dongbu Shuang. Just this point alone made it so that they could not look down on Dongbu Shuang. The selection of the 5 groups ended very quickly. 2 cultivators were chosen for each group, for a total of 10. These 10 genius cultivators began fighting one-on-one. Each of them had to fight 9 battles, and the top 5 would be decided based on the final battle results. Until now, battles were very important. The top 200 of the Star Convention's preliminaries would not be considered a core even if they joined the 6 great sacred grounds. At most, they would receive the most ordinary treatment. And the final 10 who joined the 6 great sacred grounds would become the core, and they would be nurtured with all their might. Boom, the shockwaves of the battle reverberated across the 100,000 Li battle stage. Zhang Qiong Tianyun, victory. Each of them had 9 battles, for a total of 45 battles. These battles were much more interesting. All of them had extremely high comprehension abilities, and many of their techniques were rather ingenious. This made the countless cultivators watching the battle below very excited. Xinghua Sun Yi, victory. Xinghua Sun Yi stood on the battle stage. He did not move at all. He had already fought 5 battles. His battles were the most dazzling. Because in every battle, he would stand on the same spot without moving. Usually, he would use his illusory realm first. Even if one could resist against the illusory realm, the opponent's strength would drop by a lot. Secondly, he would use the world prison. Usually, a total of 6 layers of the world prison would descend. Layers of the world prison would wrap around the enemy. Usually, the enemy would not be able to struggle after being bound and would be chased out of the battle stage. He had won 5 consecutive battles so easily. What a terrifying illusory realm. His binding technique is truly terrifying. Even third-level Star Pagoda experts can't struggle free after being bound. The more than 10,000 talented cultivators who failed to be selected were all exclaiming in admiration. 10,000 years ago, he was just at the second-level Star Pagoda. In the blink of an eye, he has become so powerful. Elder Dongbo is so amazing in guiding his disciples. The talented cultivators who failed to be selected previously felt that Dongbo Shuang was unfair. But now, they felt that the other party was too amazing in guiding his disciples. I've gone to seek guidance before, but why didn't I improve by much? Who asked you not to cultivate in the illusory realm? Right, Elder Dongbo might specialize in the illusory realm. We aren't experts in the illusory realm either. You are also the sons of Xinghua Emperor. With Elder Dongbo guiding you, why would he do his best? Many cultivators were discussing among themselves. Envy, jealousy. But no matter what, they acknowledged Elder Dongbo's foresight and ability to guide his disciples. Xinghua Sunyi finally moved. When facing a void creature called Kongyong, he had to execute the second style of the absolute art, Mirage Annihilation, created by Dongbo Shuang, the Mirage Annihilation. He was even forced to execute 3 Mirage Annihilation at the same time before he could heavily injure Kongyong, forcing him to admit defeat. 45 battles were being fought continuously. Finally, it was the final battle. Those in charge of arranging the battles of the Star Convention had deliberately placed the battle between Zhangqiong Tianyun and Xinghua Sunyi as the final battle. The two of them had won all 8 battles previously. Whoever won this battle would have won all 9 battles, and would unquestionably become the strongest expert in this Star Convention. Actually, the two of them would definitely be ranked in the top 5, and would be nurtured as the core disciples. But the two of them were filled with fighting spirit. Hong Zhangqiong Tianyun stood there. His body was majestic, and rolling black clouds surrounded his body. Clearly, his fleshy body was incredibly strong. The young-looking Xinghua Sunyi stood at the other end of the battle stage. His aura was reserved, and he seemed like an ordinary youth without any threat. But suddenly, a faint white light erupted from his body. This faint white light instantly enveloped the entire battle stage. It has begun. Heart Imitation Religious Master, General Hatchet Palace Master, Xinghua Emperor, Heaven Light Religious Master, 5 Luster Serpent Ancestor, Dongbo Shuang and the others were all carefully watching the battle from the high platform. They might not care much about the previous battles, but this battle was the most important battle of the entire Star Convention. Chapter 937. In this battle, Zhangqiong Tianyun and Xinghua Sunyi had both sunk into a bitter battle. In the previous 8 battles, the two of them had never been so strenuous. Zhangqiong Tianyun's body was tyrannical, and it was rare amongst those at the same level. His close combat attacks were similarly fierce and ruthless. After being guided by General Hatchet Palace Master and the other teachers of the convention, his body and close combat attacks were comparable to those at the 5th level Star Pagoda. But he had an obvious weakness too, and that was that his movement technique was too weak. In his previous battles, many talented cultivators could surpass him in terms of movement technique speed. But because his weakness was too obvious, his overall strength could only be considered at the peak of the 4th level Star Pagoda standard. When dealing with other opponents, Zhangqiong Tianyun was also very simple, directly attacking from a distance. With a single punch, even if it was a long-range attack, it was enough to defeat his opponent. Unfortunately, it was useless against Xinghua Sunyi. Xinghua Sunyi's ancient cultivator illusory realm was extremely extraordinary. Even though Zhangqiong Tianyun was able to resist against it, he was always distracted and his strength was affected. The most important thing was the bubble shadow destruction. Its destructive power was extremely strong, and 3 consecutive bubbles stacked together was enough to damage Zhangqiong Tianyun's life force. One by one, the bubbles enveloped Zhangqiong Tianyun. Zhangqiong Tianyun furiously tried to break them apart, but each time he did, the bubbles would also damage him. Most importantly, Bubble Shadow also had a binding effect. His long-range attacks couldn't break the bubble, and he couldn't get close to Xinghua Sunyi either. As a result, he could only waste his time. Break, break! Zhangqiong Tianyun roared furiously as he frantically attacked the bubbles that were trying to restrain him. The world bubbles were unending, causing Zhangqiong Tianyun to feel very uncomfortable. Occasionally, he would rush out and attack Xinghua Sunyi with his arms expanding, and a new bubble would descend. Xinghua Sunyi was also very careful. Under the berserk state, Zhangqiong Tianyun's attacks were too ferocious. With just one move, Zhangqiong Tian would have to activate his protective treasure and lose. His body is too strong. Xinghua Sunyi also felt that it was very strenuous. Bubble Annihilation was his strongest move, and he could only unleash 3 world bubbles at the same time with his full strength. And with this, he could barely injure his opponent. The strength of his body was simply too heaven-defying. In this battle, Xinghua Sunyi had been very careful and did not let Zhangqiong Tianyun get close to him. On the other hand, Zhangqiong Tianyun was like a peerless beast. He did not dare to become too big, as the bigger his body was, the weaker his defense would be. Maintaining a normal size was the best defense. From time to time, his arms would expand as he prepared to launch a sneak attack. A full 10 minutes passed. As Zhangqiong Tianyun's life force continued to deplete, he finally admitted defeat unwillingly. I lost. Zhangqiong Tianyun thought to himself, in the future, I must think of a way to increase the speed of my movement technique. In the past, he had spent all his energy on the 12 Calamities universe body that he had obtained through a fortuitous encounter. This was the ultimate skill of the strongest warrior system. The goal of this ultimate skill was to pursue an indestructible body with an extremely strong defense. The more extreme the pursuit of an extremely strong body's defense, the more powerful the attack would be. However, the speed of the movement technique would become very weak. This was the weakness of this technique. General Hatchet Palace Lord, General Tianguang, and Elder Dongbua have all said that cultivating in other systems can make up for this weakness. Zhangqiong Tianyun thought. 10,000 years was too short, and he required a longer period to cultivate. He believed that as long as he could make up for this weakness, he would be able to reach the 5th level of Star Pagoda strength. Zhangqiong Tianyun, who would have thought that your body is so formidable? Admirable. Xinghua Sunyi was indeed admirable. His father, Xinghua Emperor, other than being famous for his flames, had a strong body even amongst those at the 9th level Star Pagoda strength. Hence, Xinghua Sunyi cultivated in the bloodline cultivation system, and his body was considered relatively strong. But compared to Zhangqiong Tianyun, he was far weaker. He knew that Zhangqiong Tianyun definitely had an amazing absolute art, but so what? He, Xinghua Sunyi, could easily obtain many absolute arts. The core members of the Holy Grounds could obtain Cosmos-ranked absolute arts, but so what? Ultimately, the cultivators had to cultivate it themselves. I admire you more. You have improved so much in just a short 10,000 years. I accept my loss wholeheartedly. Zhangqiong Tianyun said. Even though Xinghua Sunyi and Zhangqiong Tianyun, the 2 most dazzling genius cultivators of this star convention, were conversing and walking down the battle platform. But on the high platform, the primal chaos giants could not help but look at that white-robed young man seated at the edge of the seats of the 5 teachers of the convention. They knew that in this star convention, the name of Dongbua Shuang would definitely spread amongst the many primal chaos giants. Because his performance was truly dazzling. There were even many mysteries. Xinghua Sunyi, with that background, Dongbu Shuang was actually able to help him improve so much in just a short 10,000 years? From being ranked 3,600th in the Star Pagoda preliminaries to becoming the champion in the final decisive battle. Unfathomable. Dongbu Shuang. A cold voice came from the side. Dongbu Shuang looked over. Five Luster Serpent Ancestor who was standing not far away still had a cold expression. Only his gaze towards Dongbu Shuang had changed slightly. Congratulations, the Xinghua Sunyi you chose has become the champion this time. It's because his comprehension ability is high. Dongbu Shuang immediately chuckled. He understood that with the personality of Five Luster Serpent Ancestor, it was rare for him to take the initiative to congratulate someone. Five Luster Serpent Ancestor finished speaking before turning his head downwards. The 200 genius cultivators were all recovering their strength. Some who were heavily injured were even being treated by the experts arranged by the Star Pagoda Convention. Very soon, they were all heading towards the Star Pagoda, taking the initiative to challenge the Star Pagoda. Their performance in the decisive battle, their performance in challenging the Star Pagoda twice, and also their performance in seeking guidance from the teachers of the convention in the next 10,000 years. According to many factors, the 5 teachers of the convention would choose another 5 cultivators. Together with the top 5 in the final battle, there would be a total of 10 cultivators. They could choose any holy ground to join and become a core member, receiving full nurturing. With just 200 cultivators, it was very fast for them to challenge the Star Pagoda. There were a total of 3 who reached the 4th level Star Pagoda this time: Xinghua Sunyi, Zhangqiong Tianyun, and Kong Yong. There were 169 at the 3rd level Star Pagoda, and the remaining 28 were at the 2nd level Star Pagoda. Dongbua, make your preparations. 10,000 years later, all of you will have to preach the Tao publicly. Everyone stood up and left. Xinghua Emperor, Dongbu Shuang, and Inquisitive Sky Hall Master flew side by side. And Dongbu Shuang felt relatively relaxed. In the next 10,000 years, they could just choose one more person. Even though this quota was important, the difficulty wasn't too big. By then, they would conduct a public Tao lecture with the other 4 teachers of the convention. It was also a huge opportunity for the weaker cultivators. After the Tao lecture, the convention would officially end. At least this convention did not disgrace my great Void Heaven Temple. Dongbu Shuang thought. He had a grin on his face. The Star Convention had reached its later stages. Great Void Heaven Temple's Dongbu Shuang was also being mentioned by many primal chaos giants. And at this moment, an event that could shake the entire 5 great sacred worlds of the primal chaos void happened in the Myriad Ancient Sacred World. Myriad Ancient Sacred World, there was a courtyard deep in the mountains. Wang, a low ripple was emitted from within the courtyard. It seemed unremarkable. But the courtyard silently turned into ruins. Some of the surrounding mountains, rocks, and plants similarly withered. The disturbance was small, but it represented that the power was being restrained. The silver-haired golden-horned man, Gu Qi, stood within the courtyard that had turned into ruins. His body seemed to have split into more than 100 pieces. These pieces had already fused together to form a human figure. It's just that there was a black light emitting from the cracks on his body. This black light was constantly spreading in all directions. Furthermore, there was a clear hole in his chest. Gu Qi held on to the hole in his chest. He was staring straight ahead. A figure was standing in front of him. As he stood there, the space around him became quiet and docile. The surrounding world had completely submitted to him. Even though the Myriad Ancient Sacred World was jointly created by Wu Zhu and Jie Zhu, the Myriad Ancient Sacred World was a world that had been created by both Wu Zhu and Jie Zhu. But as long as he was here, the surrounding world would submit to him. His skin was white, and the contours of his face were gentle. Even though he wasn't absolutely beautiful, any handsome male or beautiful female would pale in comparison to him. His appearance seemed to contain part of the supreme law of the primal chaos void. Looking at his appearance was akin to looking at the supreme law. Even cosmos gods could not help but feel like children looking at their parents. There was a gentle smile on his face, and his eyes were also very sincere. A husband who had become Tao companions for life and death could only look at his wife with such sincerity. Saint Lord! Gu Dai opened his mouth with difficulty. His voice was hoarse, and there was a faint black light in his throat. In order to kill me, you really put in a lot of effort. I'm only letting you return to the primal chaos. Saint Lord was gentle and sincere. Those who obstruct me will return to the primal chaos, and those who obey me will submit to me. In the future, when I control the entire primal chaos void, I'll summon you out once again. You will also be incomparably loyal to me. By then, the entire primal chaos void will be like a family, and everything will be peaceful. How good is that? Saint Lord walked over. He extended his hand. His palm was white and gentle. He caressed Gu Dai's face. I don't have any killing intent towards you, nor do I have any hatred towards you. It's just that you have obstructed me, and I can only temporarily let you return to the primal chaos. Go, just like sleeping. When I summon you, you will wake up. Gu Dai wanted to retreat, but the black light had already enveloped his entire body. His body was starting to solidify, and he could not move at all. Even his mouth could not move. Summon me? Just you, and you want to control the entire primal chaos void? Gu Dai controlled the void to emit a voice. His skin had already started turning into a black jade stone. His eyes were staring at Saint Lord in front of him. Nobody can obstruct me. You will see that day. By then, you will also be my child. Saint Lord turned around and looked to the distance. A figure had already appeared in the distance. Wu Zhu stood there with black chains surrounding his body. Clearly, he was extremely vigilant as he stared at Saint Lord in the distance. Nobody can obstruct me from doing what I want to do. You can't obstruct me either. Saint Lord looked at Wu Zhu. Although I can't bear to obstruct you, I can only temporarily let you return to the primal chaos. Saint Lord smiled. He disappeared from the myriad ancient sacred world just like that, as though he had never appeared. Wu Zhu's expression was very ugly. He turned his head and looked at Gu Dai, who had turned into a black jade stone statue. He sighed, Gu Dai, I wasn't able to protect you. Gu Dai, who had turned into a jade stone statue, his soul was also solidifying. His thoughts were rapidly slowing down. Fortunately, I have a disciple. It's just that my disciple, I haven't had the time to see you. Gu Dai's thoughts were getting slower and slower. In the end, it completely stopped. The black jade stone statue no longer had any fluctuations. It was as though it was absolutely dead. It stood there silently and looked into the distance. Gu Dai was ultimately killed by Saint Lord. Wu Zhu first transmitted the news to Gu Dai's teacher, Void Primogenitor. Void Primogenitor was completely stunned when he heard the news. He sat by himself for a very long time. He only felt heartache and self-blame. His heartache was because he could not forget the time he spent teaching Gu Dai. That carefree disciple was also his most outstanding disciple. Self-blame was because he was too weak and could not protect his disciple. Closely following that, the news naturally spread across many Final Realm existences. All Final Realm existences knew about it. Even though Wu Zhu obstructed him, Sacred Master still killed another Cosmos God. This time, the Cosmos God who fell was called Gu Dai. Chapter 938. Within the Blade Emperor city, Dongbu Shuang was still guiding the talented cultivators who came to seek his guidance. The Unity Realm, as the name suggests, is to fuse everything into one, turning into one. This one is the pinnacle. It is like the extreme point, the origin. What you need to do now, in simpler words, is to walk towards the extreme. Dongbu Shuang looked at the scaled-tailed female cultivator in front of him and chuckled, don't think about surpassing the pinnacle. Your current realm is still too low, so don't bite off more than you can chew. First, pursue the pinnacle. You have to reach the 5th level Star Pagoda strength before you are qualified to surpass the pinnacle. Dongbua Shuang explained. He then casually demonstrated, you see, your techniques can be displayed to the pinnacle. For instance, the eyes of this female cultivator brightened as she watched. She was ranked in the top 100 during the preliminary selections. She had never sought guidance from Dongbua Shuang since she felt that a Unity Realm expert was not worth it. And after seeing Xinghua Sun Yi's performance, she came to seek guidance from him. She discovered that Dongbua Shuaying's guidance on the slaughter aspect might be simple, but it pointed to the essence. The more profound a cultivator was, the more concise and direct his guidance would be. Dongbua, hurry up and come out. A voice sounded by the ears of Dongbua Shuang. Dongbua Shuang was stunned. Inquisitive Sky Hall Master. Let's stop here for now. I still have something to do and will be leaving first. Dongbua Shuang stood up. Yes. The female cultivator did not dare to say much. She obediently acknowledged. Dongbua Shuang then immediately walked out of the cavern dwelling. Outside the cavern dwelling, Dongbua Shuang saw Inquisitive Sky Hall Master. Inquisitive Sky Hall Master transmitted, Go, old ancestor has asked you to hurry back to the Great Void Heaven Temple. I will bring you over now. So urgent? Dongbua Shuang was startled. This was still the Star Convention. Go. Dongbua Shuang followed them obediently. He had a lot of time to guide those genius cultivators. After all, there were only 200 people who passed the preliminaries, and it would be a long time before one of them came to him for guidance. The two of them left the Saber Imperial City and followed the Inquisitive Sky Hall Master through an ultra-long-distance teleportation. They arrived at the Great Void Heaven Temple directly. Great Void Heaven Temple. In Forefather Tianyu's residence, he summoned Dongbua Shuang alone. How strange. The Star Convention hasn't ended yet you've summoned me back. Dongbua Shuang was puzzled as he walked into the courtyard of Forefather Tianyu's residence. Along the way, none of the attendants stopped him. Soon, he arrived at a towering tree. The hunchbacked old man, Forefather Tianyu, was sitting cross-legged under the tree. Old ancestor. Dongbua Shuang bowed respectfully. Forefather Tianyu looked at Dongbua Shuang. After a moment of silence, he said, There's something I need to tell you. Your master, Gu Qi, is already dead. Dongbua Shuang was startled as he stood there blankly. His mind was in a state of shock. His master, Gu Qi, is dead? How? Dongbua Shuang couldn't help but want to ask. He was killed by the sacred master. I believe that very soon, the upper echelons of the various sacred lands will spread this news. Forefather Tianyu said. At this moment, countless distracting thoughts appeared in Dongbua Shuaying's mind. In terms of feelings, back then, when his father, mother, younger brother, Uncle Zong, and Uncle Tong died, that was truly painful. Back then, when his wife, Jing Qiu's soul was on the verge of dissipating, he felt that the entire world had lost its color. In his heart, Dongbua Shuaying's feelings towards his master, whom he had never truly met or had a proper conversation with, were much weaker. But he still respected this master a lot. Strictly speaking, the only time he truly chatted with his master, Gu Qi, was when he inherited the inheritance in his hometown Cosmos. That time, the incarnation of his master remained there. At that time, the incomparably huge incarnation of the Cosmos God spoke a whole bunch of things. Who would have thought that I, Gu Qi, would actually have a disciple? The feeling of having a disciple is really weird. This is also my first time accepting a disciple, and I don't know how to teach a disciple. Until now, you haven't even greeted me as your master, right? Even though I didn't teach you much, and the Walker's hidden secret wasn't created by me, I have still imparted the Tao to you. I have also imparted a protective treasure to you. That time, the huge incarnation of the Cosmos God looked at his disciple. Disciple Dongbua Shuang, greets master. Dongbua Shuang acknowledged him as his master. The huge incarnation of the Cosmos God laughed at that time. Hence, on the path of cultivation, Dongbui Shuang had an additional master called Gu Qi. He had never seen his true body before. And Gu Qi finally had a disciple. He was also his only disciple. Previously, when he fought with Lei Yan, his name had spread across the 5 great sacred worlds. His teacher Gu Qi knew about it too. He even knew that Shuang cultivated both the Imperial Dragon inheritance and Cinnabar inheritance through the scenes of the battle. He had even sent over the materials required to cultivate these 2 inheritances. That time, he only left behind a recording. The only disciple of Gu Qi, is so formidable. I really wish to flaunt it in front of the other old fellows. It's a pity that you are my disciple, and this matter has to be kept a secret. It isn't suitable for me to meet you. Once this trouble is over, we, teacher and disciple, will meet again and drink a few cups of wine. Cultivate properly, and don't slack off. Alright, I won't say any more. That recording was simple. Dongbui Shuang had once thought that when he became stronger, and when there was no longer a need to keep his identity as Gu Qi's disciple a secret, he would pay a visit to his teacher and have a good chat with him. Dongbui Shuang stood there. He felt terrible in his heart. He could feel that his teacher Gu Qi was truly concerned about him. He was even afraid that Dongbui Shuang would be implicated, and had kept their teacher-disciple relationship a secret. This world was vast and boundless. But how many of them truly loved him from the bottom of their hearts and treated him as a relative? But now, one of them was gone. AI. Forefather Tianyu Side 2. Cosmos Gods. Since the primitive ancient sacred world until now, only a few cosmos gods had emerged. Even though some had died, the fall of every single cosmos god was a world-shaking event. Forefather Tianyu might be stronger than Gu Qi, but he was merely at the 3rd level. Over a long period, the two were good friends. Now that Gu Qi had died, he felt sorrowful. Wang. Forefather Tianyu flipped his hand, causing a piece of golden square seal to appear. Dongbui Shuang. Forefather Tianyu said, your teacher should know that he has truly offended Sacred Master. Given the temperament of Sacred Master, it is impossible for him to let this matter rest. Even though he was thinking of ways to preserve his life, it would be hard for him to survive if Sacred Master went crazy. Thus, he left all his treasures with his teacher, Void Primogenitor. Even if he died, he would not let Sacred Master benefit from it. After having you as his only disciple, he left behind an order that if he died, you would inherit all his treasures. Void Primogenitor sent it over. And now, it is yours. Forefather Tianyu said. Dongbui Shuang looked at that piece of golden square seal in the hand of Forefather Tianyu. He felt terrible in his heart. His teacher Gu Qi had clearly treated him as a relative by leaving the treasures to him. This shouldn't be the case. Dongbui Shuang shook his head, this shouldn't be the case. That time, teacher had been fleeing for his life and drifting in the primal chaos void. At that time, he did not have the protection of Wuzu. He could escape for a long period by himself, and even Sacred Master could not kill him. With the help of Wuzu, why did he die instead? Chapter 939. He could survive for so long even though he was fleeing for his life, yet he died despite being protected by Wuzu? That is the truth. Forefather Tianyu softly shook his head. That time when your teacher was heavily injured and escaped, Sacred Master had chased after your teacher several times, yet he failed every single time. Sacred Master thought that your teacher would die after suffering such heavy injuries, and was not willing to pay such a huge price. But your teacher is a void walker, and his life force is incredibly strong. He managed to recover over the years. Even though the two great religions have a total of 3 cosmos gods, only Sacred Master could threaten the life of your teacher. Your teacher was not willing to remain vigilant at all times, which was why he ultimately asked for help from Wuzu. Dongbui Shuang listened carefully. Of the 2 great religions, the Ancestor Mother religion only had a single cosmos god, Ancestor Mother. But that was in existence second only to Sacred Master, and could fight against Sacred Master directly. Other than Sacred Master, the ancient sacred religion had another cosmos god, Lightning God Master. Lightning God Master was the only cultivator who became a cosmos god out of the many cultivators loyal to Sacred Master. Of course, he was merely at the third level. To many cosmos gods, he posed little threat. When your teacher was escaping, he was constantly vigilant. The moment he sensed an attack, he would immediately activate his survival treasures. Furthermore, he would immediately teleport through an ultra-long distance. Forefather Tianyu said, even though his strength is far from Sacred Master's, cosmos gods usually have one or two survival treasures. Those without would ask Wu Zhu to refine one for them. Most would be able to resist for a few moments. He became a cosmos god through the Voidwalker lineage. In the Void aspect, the Void primogenitor is ranked first, and he is ranked second. Naturally, he is above Sacred Master. Thus, your teacher was able to resist against the sneak attacks from Sacred Master several times. He then used an ultra-long distance void teleportation to escape. In terms of escaping, he is quite amazing. It's just that he did not dare to relax at all times. It is too tiring. Forefather Tianyu sighed. In the end, Wu Zhu helped him. Forefather Tianyu said, Wu Zhu specialized in arrays the most. The arrays he constructed for your teacher are something that even Sacred Master would need a few breaths of time to break. And the myriad ancient sacred world was created by Wu Zhu Jiezu. As long as the array was attacked, Wu Zhu would be able to rush over immediately. With Wu Zhu blocking him, the Sacred Lord has no hope of killing your master. Logically speaking, your master should be very safe. What a pity, your teacher had offended the Saint Master so much that the Saint Master spared no expense to use the origin power of the ancient Saint Incarnation to create that Netherworld Jade Spear. The Netherworld Jade Spear instantly pierced through the Sorcerer Ancestor's array and pierced your teacher's body. Forefather Tianyu shook his head, everything happened in an instant. Even when your master activated his life-preserving treasure, it was still penetrated and he died on the spot. Ancient Sage Incarnation, Nether Jade Spear? Dongbui Shuang asked. These involve some secrets. Only a portion of Primal Chaos existences know about it. Forefather Tianyu said, you should know that the Saint Master had started multiple wars. But his territory, the ancient sacred world, had to be guarded. The Lightning God Master was unable to do so with his strength. Make a guess, when his true body was fighting outside, who was guarding the ancient sacred world? Dongbui Shuang was startled. That's right. With the hatred between the three great sacred worlds and the two great religions, if the ancient sacred world did not have any absolute experts guarding it, it would have long been destroyed. We have to talk about the ancient cultivation techniques of the Saint Master. Forefather Tianyu said, there are strong and weak ancient cultivation talents. The talent of the Saint Master allowed one of his incarnations to become the faith core of the entire religion. He was able to convert the faith into the origin power of the primal chaos void. The origin power is a power that is even more terrifying than the cosmos god energy. Over the long years, countless faith would be converted to strengthen that incarnation. His true body would also become stronger as a result. According to our judgment during the battle, that incarnation of his is comparable to his true body. This incarnation is formed from the convergence of countless origin power. It is the faith core of the entire ancient sacred religion. We call it the ancient saint incarnation. The ancient saint incarnation emits light day and night, illuminating the entire ancient sacred world. Countless life forms have faith in him. He has even become one with the entire ancient sacred world. He is even stronger within the ancient sacred world, and we are unable to destroy the ancient sacred world. Dongbui Shuang nodded. And the Saint Master has an extremely powerful technique. It is to refine the origin power accumulated by the ancient saint incarnation into weapons and treasures. Of course, these weapons and treasures are one-time use. Once the origin power within is used up, it will disappear. Forefather Tianyu said, the underworld jade spear is an extremely famous technique. A single underworld jade spear would probably exhaust 10% to 20% of the origin power of the ancient saint incarnation. One must know that the ancient saint incarnation has to maintain at least half of the origin power. Otherwise, its power would drop. Who knows how long Sacred Master has been accumulating this 20% of origin power. He has no other choice, and he hates your master to the extreme. That's why he did this. Forefather Tianyu shook his head. Why does he hate me so much? Dongbua Shuang could not help but ask. Forefather Tianyu hesitated for a moment. Because there were too many secrets behind this, he still replied vaguely, there are too many implications. All you know is that he caused the Saint Master's plan to go to waste. In the past, the Saint Master could not bear to use his origin power. However, his plan failed. Just to vent his anger, he used the underworld jade spear to destroy the Wuzu's array and kill Gu Qi. Clearly, the Saint Master is no longer as patient as he was in the past. Alright, let's not talk about this anymore. This is what your master left for you. Keep it well. With a thought from Forefather Tianyu, the golden seal flew in front of Dongbua Shuang. Dongbua Shuang looked at the golden seal. He stretched out his hand and started refining it. As he was refining it, a voice entered his ears. Disciple, I'm afraid that I'm already dead. Don't be sad. I've been hiding within the Wuzu's array. The Saint Master would definitely have to pay a huge price to kill me. Also, remember that you can forget about taking revenge for me. With your strength, the Saint Master can exterminate you with just a breath. I, Gu Qi, only have you as my disciple. Cultivate properly and help me gain some face. Wait until you become a cosmos god, and at the second level at that time, you can announce to the public that you are the disciple of I, Gu Qi. Before that, the matter of you being my disciple must be kept a secret. The voice dissipated. Dongbua Shuang held onto the golden seal and remained silent for a long time. That day will come. Many cultivators in the 5 great sacred worlds and primal chaos void will know that I, Dongbua Shuang, am the disciple of Voidwalker Gu Qi. Dongbua Shuang thought in his heart, also, I'll definitely take revenge for you. I know I'm weak, but there will be a day when I'm strong enough to fight against the Saint Master. He checked the golden seal. The golden seal was by itself a cosmos-graded Eden treasure. There were many rare treasures within. After all, this was all the treasures left behind by a cosmos god. Even though Gu Qi was only a 3rd-level cosmos god, and his foundation was weaker than Forefather Tianyu and Void Primogenitor. Adding up all the treasures, Dongbua Shuang could deduce that they were worth a total of 360,000 origin world rocks. That was truly terrifying. Forefather. Dongbua Shuang waved his hand, causing a piece of black stone and a fiery red armor to be taken out by him. The black stone was about the size of a palm. The moment it appeared, the surrounding space immediately collapsed. Furthermore, the scale of the collapse was extending outwards. Dongbua Shuang immediately controlled his law domain to suppress the power of this piece of stone. And after the fiery red armor appeared, Dongbua Shuang extended his hand to grab it. This armor seemed ordinary, yet it was ridiculously heavy. Even with Dongbua Shuang being a voidwalker and cultivating in the Imperial Dragon inheritance, he felt his arm trembling slightly when he grabbed it. If it were any heavier, he might not be able to grab it. These 2 treasures are the most precious. I hope Forefather can help me keep them. If I, Dongbua Shuang, were to accidentally lose my life, I can't let the enemy take advantage of me. Dongbua Shuang said. These were treasures that only cosmos gods could use, and it was meaningless for him to bring them along. Alright. Forefather Tianyu nodded, how about this, I'll help you keep them. These 2 treasures will be valued at 300,000 origin world rocks. In the future, if you purchase any more expensive treasures, and it isn't suitable for you to appear, you can just find me to buy them for you. You can deduct it from this 300,000 origin world rocks. Many thanks, Forefather. Dongbua Shuang immediately said. That day, Inquisitive Sky Hall Master brought Dongbua Shuang back to the Blade Emperor city. Being the teacher of the convention, he still had a responsibility. Within the Blade Emperor city, there were many cavern dwellings in 2s and 3s. These were specially prepared for the esteemed guests of the Blade Emperor city to stay in. The primal chaos giants stayed here too, and Dongbua Shuang stayed here too. When Dongbua Shuang and Inquisitive Sky Hall Master returned side by side. Inquisitive Sky Hall Master, Elder Dongbua, come over quickly. There were 3 primal chaos giants currently drinking and chatting at the peak of a small mountain. Seeing Dongbua Shuang and Inquisitive Sky Hall Master flying across the sky, they immediately called out. Dongbua Shuang and Inquisitive Sky Hall Master naturally could not ignore them. They immediately descended over. Inquisitive Sky Hall Master, have you heard? Something huge has happened. Voidwalker Senior Gu Qi has died. He was killed by Sacred Master. What? Senior Gu Qi is dead? Inquisitive Sky Hall Master was startled. Even though he brought Dongbua Shuang back, he did not know about this matter. Senior Gu Qi is under the protection of Wu Zhu in the myriad ancient sacred world. How could he die? I don't know much now. I've also just heard that Senior Gu Qi has died. I'm not sure how Sacred Master killed him. He should have paid a huge price. Inquisitive Sky Hall Master and the 3 primal chaos giants immediately began discussing. They were making all sorts of guesses. Dongbua Shuang did not interrupt them. He only listened silently. The 4 primal chaos giants did not care too much about it. In their opinion, Dongbua Shuang, who had cultivated for a short period and was merely at the Unity Realm, should have little understanding of the battles between Final Realm existences. But they did not know, Dongbua Shuang, who stood by their side, was the only disciple of Gu Qi. Chapter 940. Gu Qi was a cosmos god that stood high above in the 5 great sacred worlds of the primal chaos void. His fall had shocked these primal chaos giants too. They could even faintly smell the scent of war. Senior Gu Qi is a voidwalker and is extremely proficient in escaping. Even he was killed. Saint Lord is so crazy. Could it be that he wants to start another war? More and more destruction devils are emerging at the boundary of the void. Everyone says that this piece of primal chaos void is getting closer and closer to destruction. Is it because Sacred Master is losing his patience? This lunatic, it's all because of him. Including Inquisitive Sky Hall Master, the 4 primal chaos giants were discussing among themselves. When they mentioned the Sacred Master, they were gritting their teeth. Other than Sacred Master, there were other great devils like Ancestor Mother. But the threat of other devils was limited. Only Sacred Master was recognized as a first-level cosmos god. He transcended all other cosmos gods. If the 3 great sacred worlds did not unite against him, the entire primal chaos void would be ruled by the Sacred Master. A long time ago. During the era of the primitive ancient saint world, the Sacred Master had already started multiple wars and had almost conquered the entire primitive ancient saint world. But in the end, they fought until the primitive ancient sacred world shattered. Even though many cosmos gods fell, Sacred Master remained standing at the peak. Be it the era of the primitive ancient sacred world or the era of the primal chaos void, even though the Sacred Master had stirred up wars, he had failed every single time. Clearly, in terms of overall strength, we have the upper hand. In the discussion, Inquisitive Heavenly Palace Master looked at Dongbua Shuang. Dongbua, you should go back first. I didn't expect to hear such terrible news the moment I returned to Saber Imperial City. The other 3 primal chaos realm experts also spoke. Elder Dongbua, you should go back and rest first. You don't have to worry. Every single cosmos god has reached the pinnacle in a certain aspect. Even the Sacred Master would find it hard to kill any one of them. Even if the sky collapses, there are still cosmos gods. The cosmos gods can naturally deal with everything. In their eyes, Dongbua Shuang was ultimately only at the Unity Realm. Furthermore, he had only cultivated for a short period of time. Thus, he probably had very little understanding of the battles of the higher realms. Thus, Dongbo Shuang consoled him. But it was different for them at the primal chaos realm. They were the group of existences closest to the cosmos god realm, and knew many secrets of the highest level. Fellow cultivators, I'll be returning first. Dongbo Shuang immediately left, leaving behind the 4 primal chaos experts to continue their discussion. Swoosh! Streaking across the sky, Dongbo Shuang soon arrived at his cave abode and dove down. When the 2 guards at the entrance of the cave saw Dongbo Shuang descending, they hurriedly bowed and greeted, "Elder." "Yes." With a calm expression, Dongbo Shuang entered the cave abode. The elder doesn't seem to be the same as before. Is he in a bad mood? The 2 guards looked at each other and muttered to themselves. As Dongbo Shuang walked in the cave abode, the maids and servants greeted him along the way. "Elder." When a serving girl saw Dongbo Shuang from afar, she hurriedly stopped and greeted respectfully. "I'll be in seclusion for a few days. Don't disturb me if there's nothing important." Dongbo Shuang ordered coldly. "Yes." The maid immediately responded. Dongbo Shuang turned around and entered the quiet room at the side. Rumble. The door to the quiet room closed and the incense was lit up. A faint fragrance permeated the entire room. Dongbo Shuang waved his hands and a silver silk praying mat appeared beside him. He then sat down cross-legged. The formless coolness of the silver silk praying mat permeated his entire body. The incense in the room also calmed his heart. "Who?" Dongbo Shuang let out a long breath. Stretching out his left hand, a golden seal appeared in his palm. Looking at the golden seal, killing intent radiated from Dongbo Shuang's face. "Ridiculous. So what if I'm angry? In front of the Saint Master, I'm nothing but an ant." Dongbo Shuang kept the golden seal as he tried his best to calm his heart. Given his cultivation heart, he was able to calm himself down gradually. However, the anger and killing intent in his heart was unable to dissipate in a short period of time. He could only forcefully suppress it. Suppress, and suppress again. He suppressed it deep in his heart. Because taking revenge for his master was something that was destined to happen in the distant future. "Teacher, I'm your only disciple. If I don't take revenge for you, who else would?" Dongbo Shuang thought. His grand teacher, Void Primogenitor, should be furious too. But Void Primogenitor was ultimately a 3rd-level cosmos god and could barely protect himself. Without reaching the 2nd level of strength, it was impossible for him to fight against the Saint Master directly. "Even though the road is long, I'll take it step by step." Dongbo Shuang became calmer and calmer. After that, he began cultivating. The death of Gu Qi made Dongbo Shuang understand that he could not slack off. Even though there were only 10,000 years left until the end of the Star Convention, he was prepared to leave behind a few hundred years to guide those junior cultivators. During the remaining time, he would focus on cultivating. He did not hesitate to focus on the fusion of the Tao of Mirage and Tao of Slaughter, killing move. He had to step into the 7th level of Star Pagoda. If he wanted to wrestle with the Sacred Master and threaten him, he had to be ruthless to himself. Even though his Tao of Mirage was very close to the Primal Chaos realm, and he could grasp it after some time. Stepping into the 7th level at the Unity realm before reaching the Primal Chaos realm would be beneficial to his comprehension ability and other aspects. It would also increase his chances of breaking through to the Cosmos God realm. His target was not the Primal Chaos realm, but the final realm of Cosmos God. That was sufficient to threaten the existence of the Sacred Master. Naturally, grasping the Supreme Law was also the final goal of the Laws and Profound Mysteries system. But that was illusory. Dongbo Shuang only remembered it in his heart and did not dare to think too much about it temporarily. He just had to walk along the path beneath his feet. Perhaps only after reaching the Cosmos God realm would he understand more about the Supreme Law. Dongbo Shuang sat cross-legged. He focused all his attention on the absolute move he was researching. Pushing a single Dao of Mirage or a single Dao of Slaughter to the 6th floor of Star Tower was his limit. Only by fusing the two would he be able to increase his power further. And then, the path of Dark World Master isn't feasible. It should be according to the method I comprehended previously. I should split the destruction and slaughter into 3 parts. All sorts of thoughts were forming in the mind of Dongbu Shuang. His research on this move had already reached an extremely high realm. It was just that he was lacking something and had not perfected it. Just like the Sky Punishment Edge in the past, if he did not have the heart realm of my heart as the world, it was impossible for him to execute this move. Similarly, if he wanted to create a heaven-defying move on the 7th floor of Star Tower at the Unity Realm, even though he had researched and accumulated sufficient experience, he had to reach absolute grand perfection before he could execute it. He could not be lacking even a single strand. Maybe I should do it this way. Shuang attempted it once again. At this moment, he suppressed the killing intent deep in his heart, causing him to slightly modify this move, causing it to be even more murderous. But at the same time, it was also more suppressed and reserved. It was like a peerless painter had painted a masterpiece in a certain state of mind. At this moment, Ying's heart realm allowed him to modify this move by a tiny bit. It was this tiny bit that allowed this move to reach a different level of absolute perfection. For a supreme move like this, other than the accumulation of comprehension, it also required some other opportunities. Clearly, Dongbu Shuiying's current heart realm was filled with killing intent, but he was suppressing it in his heart. He was also extremely calm while cultivating. Such a state of mind allowed him to perfectly execute this move. Hua! The illusory world was faintly discernible. In the center of this illusory world, there was a black flower bud. It seemed very young and had 3 leaves. There were even water droplets on the leaves. When Dongbu Shuang formed the illusory world with a single thought, the black flower bud did not collapse. Instead, it naturally emitted an indescribable intent. It had not even descended from the illusory world into reality. Just by being born in the illusory world, the formless laws of the world had already started to spread and affect reality. Within the cultivation room, the original operating laws of the sacred world were forced to retreat in front of it. Like cosmos gods, their techniques could even shatter the sacred world. Primal Chaos Realm giants might not be able to reach this stage, but it was sufficient to force the laws of the sacred world to retreat in a small region. Here, I am the master, and the laws of the sacred world have to retreat. And clearly, this black flower bud was so terrifying that it could reach this stage. Descend into reality. The eyes of Dongbu Shuang brightened. The black flower bud turned from illusory to reality. Furthermore, under the control of Dongbu Shuang, it was devouring the world energy at a relatively slow pace. After all, he was experimenting and not fighting. If he were to rapidly devour the world energy during a battle, it would be sufficient to form a violent maelstrom around his cavern dwelling. That would be too huge of a disturbance. As it gradually devoured the world energy, it became more and more real. Its 3 leaves, the surface of the flower bud, and the rolling water droplets on the leaves were all very real. Furthermore, the surrounding temperature was rapidly falling. The temperature of the cultivation room had fallen to a stage that made people's hearts tremble. This coldness would most likely freeze ordinary Unity Realm experts to death. Cold, absolutely cold, this was merely the moment it descended into reality. Its true power had yet to be released. Chapter 941. 10 breaths of time later, the black flower bud was completely formed. The temperature of the entire cultivation room dropped to an unfathomable level. But that was all. The black flower bud floated in midair. Other than the coldness, it did not have any other power. But any Unity Realm expert who faced this black flower bud, even if they could resist against the coldness, would still feel fear in their hearts. Fear of the threat contained within the flower bud. I finally succeeded. Dongbu Shuang walked to the front of the floating black flower bud. He looked at the 3 leaves. The dew on the leaves and the flower bud made Dongbush Shuang feel the beauty of the laws and profound mysteries, perfectly fusing the slaughter into the mirage. Dongbush Shuang muttered. Bloom. Destruction flower. Dongbush Ying's eyes were filled with expectation. He stared at this floating black flower bud. Finally, the flower bud bloomed, and it was the most beautiful when it bloomed. It had 3 petals, and the moment it bloomed, the 3 leaves and the 3 black petals began to collapse, turning into a black mist that swirled madly towards the center. Every single leaf and petal converged into a strand of black fog. A total of 3 strands of black fog revolved, cutting and destroying everything. The void was annihilated, and everything was destroyed. It might seem ordinary, but its power was extremely reserved. If one was at the core of the destruction, one would feel how horrifying it was. Great destruction. Dongbush Shuang watched everything. His eyes were filled with infatuation. Only when he truly comprehended it would he know how beautiful it was. I can actually create such a move. Dongbush Shuang muttered. He created it himself. The more he experienced it, the more shocked he felt. It was too beautiful. The Tao of Mirage and Tao of Slaughter had been unleashed to the pinnacle, and their fusion was perfect. A strand more would be too much, and a strand less would be too little. Regardless of the concept, composition, or fusion of profound mysteries, everything was perfect. Dongbush Shuang felt that even cosmos gods had a hard time creating such a move. Just like the 13 apocalyptic swords, the peak of the Unity Realm was the 6th floor of Star Tower. Of course, this was under the precondition that Forefather Tianyu only used the profundities of the Tao of Slaughter. However, even if it was Forefather Tianyu, it would be extremely difficult for him to use the different laws and profundities of the Unity Realm to create the 7th floor of Star Tower. Clearly, Forefather Tianyu wasn't willing to spend too much effort on this. And Unity Realm experts were far weaker than Cosmos gods in terms of soul strength and deduction. To create the move of the 7th floor of Star Tower required some luck. Yes. Luck. He was lucky to be able to create it. Because he had obtained the mysterious treasure, Stone Mirror, the Stone Mirror was able to deduce the fusion of Cinnabar's inheritance and Imperial Dragon's inheritance. This allowed Dongbush Shuang to have a direction and a guide. And the influence of his teacher Gu Qi's death on his heart realm was also the inducement for him to create this move. It's just that compared to creating this move, Dongbush Shuang hoped that his teacher Gu Qi was still alive. He hoped that he could meet his teacher one day, drink a few cups of wine with him, and chat with him. The 7th level of Star Tower. In the history of the 2 great sacred worlds, there were only 2 who reached this stage. Dongbush Shuang sighed. Even though he had luck, he had to accumulate more. He had to reach the peak of the 6th floor of Star Tower in terms of realm, and he had to accumulate incomparably deep. Only with some fortuitous encounters and other opportunities could he reach this stage. When he reached this stage, Dongbush Shuang felt an unprecedented sense of accomplishment. He was also better at appreciating the beauty of the laws and profound mysteries. This was how one's comprehension ability increased. Creating such a move was a transformation of one's mortal body and bones. In the future, when he created a move, he would naturally pursue this beauty. This beauty was something that could only be achieved after reaching a grand perfection. Because he had experienced it before, he would pursue it even more clearly. Hence, reaching the 7th floor of Star Tower at the Unity Realm was easy for him to reach the Primal Chaos Realm. The 8th level Star Pagoda was easy for him, and he would usually reach the peak of the 8th level after spending some time. If he accumulated enough, the chances of him breaking through to the 9th level would be huge. I shall call this flower the Destruction Flower then. Dongbush Shuang thought. This was an absolute art he created. One was a pure Tao of Mirage absolute art Mirage, and the other was an absolute art that fused the Tao of Mirage with the Tao of Slaughter, the Destruction Flower. He believed that once he stepped into the Primal Chaos Realm, his Tao of Mirage and Tao of Slaughter would improve, and that Destruction Flower would easily reach the 8th level. This was the gap. Even Ancestor Devil had to rely on his 6 incarnations to barely reach the 8th level after reaching the primal chaos realm. As for Heaven Weeping Sect Master, he was merely at the peak of the 7th level. As long as Dongbush Shuang broke through, he would soon reach the 8th level, or even the peak of the 8th level. This was also the reason why Dongbush Shuang was trying his best to reach the 7th level at the Unity Realm. I should spend some time to deduce the 4th style of Mirage. Dongbush Shuang thought. The 4th style of Mirage was a move from the 6th floor of Star Tower. It was similar to the Sky Punishment Edge, but it had a binding effect. To other Daos, it was hard to have a binding effect. But to the Mirage, it was a world by itself, and it specialized in binding. The reason why he did not create it was because Dongbush Shuang was mainly focused on fusing the Tao of Slaughter with the Tao of Mirage. Now that he had created the Destruction Flower, which also had a binding effect, deducing the pure Tao of Mirage from the 6th floor of Star Tower was much simpler. Dongbush Shuang was temporarily in closed-door cultivation. Those talented cultivators came to seek guidance from him, but none of them were able to do so. I never thought that it would be so difficult to seek guidance from Elder Dongbua. These talented cultivators sighed inwardly. For example, General Hatchet Palace Master, Violet Slaughter Island Master, General Heavenlight, and 5 Luster Serpent Ancestor, they could visit their friends whenever they wanted. It was already good enough for them to come out and give them some pointers. Dongbush Shuang was very passionate in the past, but after experiencing the incident with his master Gu Qi, Dongbush Shuang placed more attention on himself. His own strength was the most important thing. Pointers? That was enough. At this moment, nobody knew that in the 5 great sacred worlds of the primal chaos void, a Unity Realm expert had finally appeared in this era, the 7th floor of Star Tower. Blade Emperor City, Xinghua Emperor's Cave Dwelling. Xinghua Sun Yi was also staying here. Greetings Senior Heart Imitation, Senior Heaven Light. Xinghua Sun Yi greeted obediently. No need to be so polite. Heart Imitation Religious Master smiled. Xinghua Sun Yi retreated to his father's back and stood there obediently. Xinghua Emperor, Heart Imitation Religious Master, General Heaven Light and the rest sat down. Each of them had a long table in front of them. Xinghua Emperor personally waved his hand and a flask of good wine was served. The maids also prepared some delicacies, most of which were bought from the famous restaurants in Blade Emperor City. Both sides drank and laughed as they discussed many things. They even talked about Gu Qi being killed by Sacred Master. When the wine was almost finished and the sky had turned dark, Heart Imitation Religious Master said, Brother Xinghua, I came with General Heaven Light today because my Blade Emperor City feels that your son Xinghua Sun Yi's cultivation talent is extremely high. In such a short period of time, his strength has improved by leaps and bounds. He is suitable to enter my Blade Emperor City. The final 10 of the Star Convention could enter any of the 6 great sacred grounds. But the 6 great sacred grounds would not foolishly wait for them to choose. They would take the initiative to invite those with dazzling potential. In this Star Convention, from what they saw, the one with the highest potential was Xinghua Sun Yi. He was ranked first in the final battle and had risen rapidly in such a short period of time. They believed that there would be an explosive period in the future. Tsang Qiong Tianyun might be comparable in strength, but he was already at the 4th level Star Pagoda when he participated in the Star Convention. His improvement was comparatively slower. Of course, General Heaven Light would invite Tsang Qiong Tianyun too. But Heart Imitation Religious Master would not appear. Only Xinghua Sun Yi and Heart Imitation Religious Master would come personally. Sun Yi, what do you think? Xinghua Emperor turned to Xinghua Sun Yi. I don't plan on joining the Blade Emperor City. Xinghua Sun Yi answered. Xinghua Emperor laughed involuntarily. This son of his, if it were a rogue cultivator, he would likely say, I have to think carefully before making a decision instead of directly rejecting him. After all, Heart Imitation Religious Master and one of the teachers of the convention, General Heaven Light, had come personally. It would be unsightly if he directly rejected him. If he was tactful, heart imitation religious master and the others would understand. Xing Huasuni stood obediently by the side. He did not say anything after finishing. With a father like Xing Hua Emperor, he was used to being direct. Heart imitation religious master softly shook his head. He chuckled, of the 6 great holy grounds, my Blade Emperor city is the strongest in terms of strength and foundation. If you don't join the Blade Emperor city, where are you planning to join? Great Void Heaven Temple. Xing Huasuni did not hesitate. General Heaven Light sneered from the side, Great Void Heaven Temple? Little fellow, you are still too young. That Primogenitor Island and Necrolite Holy Ground both have second-level cosmos gods. My Blade Emperor city has the deepest foundation, and Blade Emperor is also the strongest expert among the 6 great holy grounds. And the Great Void Heaven Temple is barely 4th in terms of strength. If Lord Lo Cheng of Star City is willing to accept disciples and expand his influence, the Great Void Heaven Temple can only be considered 5th. Lord Lo Cheng was a legend among primal chaos existences. It's a pity he did not accept disciples. The Star City also had the least experts among the 6 great holy grounds. Without Lord Lo Cheng guiding him personally, he might as well join another holy ground. I plan to become the disciple of Elder Dong Bo of the Great Void Heaven Temple. Xing Huasuni said. Dongbua Shuang. Heart imitation religious master was slightly enlightened, because of the Tao of Mirage? Yes. Xing Huasuni nodded, I wish to study the Tao of Mirage and Illusory Realm. General Heaven Light chuckled, then there is no need for you to join them. The 6 great holy grounds have all basic scriptures. Their Great Void Heaven Temple has yet to reach the primal chaos realm in the Tao of Mirage. All the scriptures related to the Tao of Mirage are relatively ordinary, and we have them here. You can also read them to your heart's content. You are currently at the 4th level Star Pagoda, and after accumulating a little more, you will reach the 5th level Star Pagoda. You aren't much weaker than Dongbua Shuang, so why is there a need for you to take him as your teacher? Who knows, when you reach the primal chaos realm in the future, he might still be stuck at the 6th floor of Star Tower. For the sake of a mere Dongbua Shuang, there is no need for you to join the Great Void Heaven Temple. Heart imitation religious master added, you have to rely on yourself in the path of cultivation. The gap between you and him isn't that big. Since that's the case, why don't you study and rely on yourself? Perhaps you might be able to walk further. As for Dongbua Shuang, he is indeed outstanding now, but what Heaven Light said is logical too. He is stuck at the 6th floor of Star Tower, and that is normal. There is no need for you to take him as your teacher. If you are willing, I can accept you as my disciple. Heart imitation religious master chuckled. Xing Hua Emperor was startled when he heard that. Heart imitation religious master. This was an existence who got through the 7th floor of Star Tower at the Unity Realm, and was currently at the 9th level Star Pagoda. Even though he did not cultivate the Tao of Mirage, his experience was sufficient for him to guide Xing Huasuni. How is it? Heart imitation religious master looked at Xing Huasuni. This was also the reason why he came personally. Many thanks for senior's kind intentions, but I have decided to take Elder Dongbua as my teacher. Xing Huasuni shook his head. His eyes were firm. Heart imitation religious master was startled.
Chapter 942. Heart imitation religious master was quite fond of Xing Huasuni. It wasn't because of his background, but because Xing Huasuni was merely at the 2nd level Star Pagoda in the past 500 billion years. Yet, during the Star Convention, Xing Huasuni's strength soared. This piqued heart imitation religious master's curiosity. He did not believe in digging out one's potential. Instead, he believed that there must be some special reasons behind it. For example, inner demons and inner tribulations. With Xing Huasuni's innate talent, comprehension ability, and background, it was impossible for him to remain low for so long under normal circumstances. Heart imitation religious master was sure that there must be a special reason for this. The possibility of it being a heart demon or heart tribulation was very high. Even at the unity realm, his mental state would encounter a huge setback. Heart imitation religious master was filled with anticipation. Maybe he would be suitable for the heart imitation technique that I created. Back then, he was also a peerless monster. In the history of the two great sacred worlds, there were only two Unity Realm experts who had reached the 7th floor of Star Tower. He, heart imitation religious master, was one of them. The technique he created was directed towards the soul. Hence, his spirit required more tempering and setbacks. Every time he rose up from a setback, his spirit would become even stronger. That was why he had his eyes on Xing Huasun. Think about it carefully. Before the Star Convention, you can become my disciple. Heart imitation religious master immediately stood up. Beside him, General Tianguang stood up as well. Xinghua Emperor also stood up and said, "Brother Heart Elephant, Sun Yi is a little stubborn, please don't mind him. Cultivation is also about cultivating the mind. It's good to be persistent." Heart imitation religious master smiled calmly. He was quite open-minded. He felt that Lin Fan was a good seedling. However, if Lin Fan wasn't willing to take him as his master, he wouldn't force him either. After all, in the eyes of such a peerless powerhouse, the disciple was merely the inheritor of his ultimate technique. To be able to obtain his inheritance was the disciple's luck. If they couldn't get it, it was because they didn't have the luck to do so. Xing Huasun. General Tianguang snorted coldly, "Think about it carefully. It's extremely rare for heart imitation religious master to accept a disciple. If you don't acknowledge him as your disciple and instead acknowledge Dongbua Shuang, when he is stuck at the Unity Realm, it would be too late for you to regret it." Xing Huasun went silent. Humph. General Tianguang followed behind heart imitation religious master and headed out. Very soon. Within the courtyard, Xinghua Emperor and his son Xinghua Sun returned. "Sit down."
Xinghua Emperor sat there and poured himself a cup of wine. There was a rare smile on his face. "Father." Xinghua Sun obediently sat by the side. "I never expected that my son would one day make heart imitation religious master take the initiative to accept him as a disciple." Xinghua Emperor said, "I am quite satisfied that you are able to stick to your decision. However, I have to tell you, heart imitation is truly a monstrous talent. The heart imitation lineage that he created belongs to a special cultivation system." Special cultivation system? Xinghua Sun was puzzled. Other than the ancient cultivation system, the laws and profound mysteries system, the strongest warrior system, the hex cultivation system, the ancestor mother cultivation system, the devour class system, and other common systems, there were other systems that had very few cultivators like the Voidwalker system. There were also other systems that had even fewer cultivators. There were only a handful of them in the entire primal chaos void. The more special the system, the harder it would be to cross the threshold. And then, his heart imitation lineage is a special system. According to what I know, there are only 2 cultivators in the primal chaos void system, him and his disciple, Emperor Nine Dragon. Xinghua Emperor said. Xinghua Sun was startled when he heard that. Emperor Nine Dragon? That was a famous expert in the Blade Emperor city. He was in existence at the peak of the 8th level Star Pagoda. This lineage directly cultivates the soul. Xinghua Emperor said, hence, it is hard to cross the threshold. Usually, those who succeed will be able to step into the primal chaos realm. Like heart imitation religious master and Emperor Nine Dragon, they have a group of disciples, but it's a pity that none of them have crossed the threshold. Heart imitation religious master should be accepting you as a disciple because he feels that you have the potential to do so. From how I see it, you should become his disciple and try cultivating the heart imitation lineage. At the same time, you can also cultivate the Tao of Mirage. That might be better for you. Xinghua Emperor looked at his son. The Blade Emperor city was ultimately the head of the 6 great holy grounds. If a war were to break out, the Blade Emperor city would be safer than the Great Void Heaven Temple. I still choose to become the disciple of Elder Dongbo, Xinghua Suni said. Why? Xinghua Emperor felt puzzled. I, Xinghua Suni, have decided to walk the Tao of Mirage in this life. On this path, Elder Dongbo is the best teacher. Xinghua Suni said. Not just the Blade Emperor city, even the Jade Light Sacred Territory and Primogenitor Island invited him. Naturally, they were all rejected. What? Heart Imitation Religious Master personally accepted him as a disciple, yet he rejected him? He wants to become the disciple of Dongbo Shuang. Many primal chaos giants who came to accept him as a disciple were rejected one after another. This news naturally spread across the participating primal chaos giants. When General Heavenlight was with other primal chaos giants, he even said, "Humph, that brat doesn't want to become the disciple of Heart Imitation Religious Master. Instead, he wants to become the disciple of a Unity Realm expert. Isn't this a joke?" In the eyes of the primal chaos giants, some felt that Xinghua Suni had a firm heart, but the majority felt that it was a joke. That was Heart Imitation Religious Master. Only after reaching the primal chaos realm could one understand how terrifying Heart Imitation Religious Master was. That was someone who opened a new cultivation system, and could even fight with cosmos gods before leaving. Some even took the initiative to persuade Xinghua Emperor when they met him, to which Xinghua Emperor shook his head with a smile. He has made up his mind. Since I can't persuade him, then let him be. Within the cultivation room, Dongbo Shuang sat cross-legged. His law domain engulfed the entire cultivation room. Currently, he had already reconstructed his law domain according to the newly created Destruction Flower. Its power was naturally extraordinary. Some primal chaos giants might not even have law domains as strong as Dongbo Shuang. The law of the sacred world had been forced out of the cultivation room. Who? Slowly, Dongbo Shuang opened his eyes. The 4th style of Mirage, Frost Hell, had long been created. Because the Star Convention was coming to an end, he was not in a rush to break through. Even though he felt that he could break through to the primal chaos realm after some time, the moment he broke through, he had to take the opportunity to consolidate his foundation. He had to perfect the ancient cultivation inheritance, absolute arts, and many other aspects. Instead, he spent some time researching the Voidwalker system and the plate ripple diagram. There are still 300 years before the end of the Star Convention. It is time for me to leave. Dongbo Shuang stood up. After the convention ends, I'll return to the Great Void Heaven Temple and enter closed-door cultivation before breaking through to the primal chaos realm. Hong Long Long, the door to the cultivation room opened. Dongbo Shuang walked out. Elder. There was a female attendant waiting outside the cultivation room. If any cultivators come to seek an audience, bring them to me. Dongbo Shuang said. 300 years in advance was prepared for those talented cultivators. Yes. The female attendant replied respectfully. Dongbo Shuang also informed Inquisitive Sky Hall Master that he had left closed-door cultivation. You are finally out? Do you know that many holy grounds have taken the initiative to invite that Xinghua Suni? Even Heart Imitation Religious Master has taken the initiative to accept him as a disciple, but it's a pity that it's useless. Inquisitive Sky Hall Master transmitted, he is determined to take you as his teacher no matter what. Several primal chaos giants who visited Xinghua Emperor tried to persuade that little fellow, but it's useless. He has decided to take you as his teacher. Ah! Dongbo Shuang was startled. There were many who wished to become Heart Imitation Religious Master's disciple. This brat is crazy about the Tao of Mirage. He is also talented. Dongbo Shuang chuckled, he is a good disciple. At that moment, Dongbo Shuang left his cavern dwelling and headed towards Xinghua Emperor's cavern dwelling. Within the courtyard of Xinghua Emperor's cavern dwelling, Elder Dongbo, it is rare for you to come to my place. Xinghua Emperor smiled as he sat down. By the side, Xinghua Sunyi's eyes were brightening as he looked at Dongbua Shuang. I have been in closed-door cultivation previously. I only found out about what happened after I came out. Dongbua Shuang looked up at Xinghua Sunyi by the side. Xinghua Sunyi is talented too. The other holy grounds have taken the initiative to invite him. I am here to invite Xinghua Sunyi to my great void heaven temple. If he is willing, he can become my disciple. Xinghua Sunyi went forward and knelt down respectfully. Disciple greets teacher. He then kowtowed 3 times. All right. Dongbua Shuang nodded with a smile. Chapter 943. If Xinghua Sunyi did not accept him as a disciple immediately after coming out of seclusion, Xinghua Sunyi might take the initiative to take him as his master. That would not be good. After all, the other sacred grounds had taken the initiative to invite him. Even Heart Imitation Religious Master had taken the initiative to take him as a disciple. If he, Dongbua Shuang, were to wait for Xinghua Sunyi to take him as his master, wouldn't he be slapping Heart Imitation Religious Master's face? He had to invite him like the other sacred grounds. If Xinghua Sunyi chose the Great Void Heaven Temple of the 6 sacred grounds, nobody would say anything. Sunyi, this brat is too rash. He has made things difficult for Elder Dongbua. Xinghua Emperor said. It's just a small matter. Dongbua Shuang was rather casual. He immediately asked Xinghua Sunyi about his cultivation gains over the years. The master and disciple immediately started discussing the Tao of Mirage. Xinghua Emperor was inwardly shocked when he saw this. If it was any other Unity Realm expert, none of them would dare to take Xinghua Sunyi as their disciple after being rejected by Heart Imitation Religious Master. But Dongbua Shuang accepted it very calmly. He did not show any agitation, nervousness, or any other emotions. He treated it as a very ordinary matter. For him to be so calm, either he was arrogant in his heart, or he truly had the confidence to do so. This Elder Dongbua doesn't seem like an arrogant person. That means he has the confidence to step into the primal chaos realm? Xinghua Emperor guessed inwardly, if he could really step into the primal chaos realm in such a short period of time, that would be too amazing. How long has he cultivated for? Xinghua Emperor did not know. Dongbua Shuang had reached the 7th floor of Star Tower at the Unity Realm. It would not be difficult for him to reach the primal chaos realm. Not long later, he would be able to stand at the peak of the primal chaos realm. Even though he might not be as strong as Xinghua Emperor, the difference wouldn't be too huge. Dongbua Shuang took the initiative to take him as a disciple. The news of Xinghua Sunyi entering the Great Void Heaven Temple and taking Dongbua Shuang as his master spread. He really became the disciple of that Unity Realm brat. I really don't know what this Xinghua Sunyi is thinking. Instead of taking Heart Imitation Religious Master as his master, he would rather take a Unity Realm expert as his master. Tsang Qiong Tianyun and the other genius cultivators who were also in the top 5 felt a little envious. This was because Heart Imitation Religious Master did not come to take them as disciples. Even if they joined the 6 Holy Lands, in order to become disciples of Heart Imitation Religious Master, Heart Imitation Religious Master had to be willing. In a flash.
The Star Convention had reached its final stage, and countless cultivators were rushing over from all over the place. This time, the number of cultivators who had arrived was much more than the number at the beginning of the convention. Because today, there would be a public lecture specially prepared for them. Countless ordinary cultivators might not be able to find guidance from a senior at the level of the conference's master in their entire lives. It was a great opportunity for Shuang to be able to listen to them speak about the Tao publicly. Perhaps a single touch might allow a true God ruler to become a void god, and an origin birth realm expert to step into the Unity realm. Rumble, there were 10 huge names in midair beside the Star Tower. They were the 10 disciples that had been chosen in the final round of the Star Convention this time. They could choose any holy land to join, and they would be heavily nurtured as the core. On the enormous battle platform spanning 50,000 kilometers, Xing Huasun and the other 9 stood side by side. The 10 of you can choose which holy land to join. Heart Imitation Religious Master said from the high platform. I'm willing to join the Great Void Heaven Temple. I'm willing to join the Blade Emperor City. I'm willing to join the Void God Temple. I'm willing to join the Blade Emperor City. Under the gazes of countless cultivators and the envious gazes of other genius cultivators, Xing Huasun and the others reported their names one by one. Actually, 3 of them had received the invitation beforehand, but publicly announcing which side they would join was part of the Star Convention's procedure. So. The 10 of them turned into streams of light and flew towards the high platform. They stood behind the teacher of the convention according to their choice. Behind Dongwu Shuang, there was only Xing Huasun. Behind General Heaven Light, there were a total of 3, including Tsangqiong Tianyun. Being the strongest of the 6 great holy lands, they would usually have the most people joining them in the Star Convention. It was very normal for 3 out of 10 to join. Sometimes, it was exaggerated to say that 5 or 6 would join the Blade Emperor City. General Hatchet Palace Master also had 3 behind him. Clearly, General Hatchet Palace Master's influence was not ordinary. Behind Violet Slaughter Island Master was 1. Behind 5 Luster Serpent Ancestor were 2. They were both void creatures. Void creatures would usually choose the Void God Temple. As for Star City, no one chose it. Star City was the most unique of the 6 great holy lands. They would usually not send teachers for the convention, which was why there were only 5 teachers. Even if someone chose Star City, they would definitely regret it. Because there were too few experts in Star City, it was hard to obtain good guidance. Wanting to obtain the guidance of the legendary Lord Lo Cheng was practically an extravagant hope. 5. Heart Imitation Religious Master looked at General Hatchet Palace Master and the other 4. Next, it will be time for everyone to publicly lecture on the Tao. After the Tao lecture, the convention will end. Previously, the competition of the General Assembly had all been between genius cultivators. But publicly lecturing on the Tao is something that many ordinary cultivators desire. Everyone, please do your best. According to logic, each Tao lecture will not be shorter than 3 days. MN General Hatchet Palace Master nodded. That is natural. General Heaven Light nodded. Violet Slaughter Island Master, 5 Luster Serpent Ancestor, and Dongwu Shuang had already made their preparations. Then shall we begin with Elder Dongwu lecturing on the Tao? Heart Imitation Religious Master said. Dongwu Shuang chuckled as he stood up. It was normal. The 5 teachers of the convention would lecture on the Tao in accordance to their strength. General Hatchet Palace Master, who was the strongest, would naturally be the finale. A 9th-level Star Pagoda existence lectured on the Tao, and General Hatchet Palace Master's attainments in certain aspects had reached the Cosmos God level. And the only Unity Realm expert amongst the 5, Dongwu Shuang, would naturally be the first to lecture on the Tao. Who? After Dongwu Shuang stood up, his figure flashed and appeared in midair. He then walked down step by step until he reached the battle platform. At this moment, many cultivators were looking at Dongwu Shuang, who stood on the battle platform. I do want to see how strong this Dongwu Shuang is. Xing Huasun isn't willing to take Heart Imitation Religious Master as his teacher, yet he still wants to take him as his teacher. The primal chaos giants watching from above were prepared to listen carefully. The cultivators below were all holding their breaths as they listened attentively. Dongwu Shuang was wearing a white robe. He sat down cross-legged and swept his gaze across the cultivators below. He said, "This time, I will be lecturing on the Tao, mainly about the illusory realm and slaughter." He had not only comprehended the Tao of Mirage and Tao of Slaughter to the 6th floor of Star Tower, he had even fused the slaughter perfectly into the Mirage, creating a move that could reach the 7th floor of Star Tower. Donghua Shuang was the most confident in his understanding of these two. Even though strictly speaking, he was the proudest of his Tao of Mirage, there were very few cultivators who specialized in the illusory realm. As for slaughter, it was something many cultivators had researched on. After all, it was hard to avoid battles and slaughter when adventuring outside. Illusory realm, slaughter. The genius cultivators below were slightly excited. They were very interested in slaughter.
They wanted to listen to the illusory realm that gave them headaches. Even if they could not learn it, they could at least understand it. Amongst the primal chaos giants above, the thin male Bayun Palace Master sneered, "Slaughter? You dare to talk about slaughter? Very good. By then, don't blame me for smacking your face." Lecturing on the Tao was not a solo lecture. During the process, many cultivators would come and seek guidance from Donghua Shuang. He would choose a portion of them to guide them one by one. There would even be experts who questioned him. "I cultivate the Imperial Dragon inheritance, and what I specialize in is slaughter." Bayun Palace Master's eyes were filled with coldness. Previously, he was directly rejected and chased out by Donghua Shuang. Bayun Palace Master was not someone with a good temper. Furthermore, during this period of time, Donghua Shuang had been relatively dazzling. First, he chose Xinghua Sun-yi to become the #1 disciple. Xinghua Sun-yi rejected all the other disciples who took the initiative to take him as a disciple. Instead, he chose to become Donghua Shuaying's disciple. Bayun Palace Master was naturally unhappy when he saw how glorious Donghua Shuang was. And this time, Donghua Shuang was actually lecturing on slaughter. He was someone who mainly cultivated the Imperial Dragon inheritance of slaughter and had become a primal chaos giant. Humph. Bayun Palace Master immediately began listening attentively. Chapter 944. On the towering battle platform, Donghua Shuang sat cross-legged by himself. He faced the cultivators below and began lecturing on the Tao. The cultivators knew the etiquette. All of them sat down cross-legged. Some of the mutated beasts were also lying down. None of them made a sound. They were all obediently listening. At this moment, it would incur the wrath of the masses if one were to speak recklessly. Even if they spoke to each other, they would at most transmit their voices. He first lectured on the slaughter. Because there were many cultivators who comprehended the slaughter, Donghua Shuang started from the transcendent realm before extending it to the various branches of the slaughter lineage. Different branches would always talk about reaching the void god realm at the end. Shuaying's current realm was naturally at a strategically advantageous position. He could rapidly point out the different branches, causing many of the weaker cultivators to excitedly listen to him. Even some of the weaker deities, world deities, and true gods who were fortunate enough to come here were intoxicated listening to him. Even the cultivators who reached the void god realm were startled. It even gave them more comprehensions. Amazing! I have long become a void god, yet who would have thought that there are so many ways to use the Tao of slaughter at the true god realm? Many of the listeners gained a new understanding of their own cultivation. There were even aura fluctuations of breakthroughs amongst the cultivators. This was normal too. It was common for cultivators to break through and gain enlightenment when listening to the public lecture on the Tao by the teachers of the Star Convention. After all, these cultivators at the bottom would not be able to obtain guidance from those at the top. For a total of 18 hours, Donghua Shuang lectured on the different branches of the Tao of slaughter from the transcendent to the void god realm. After that, Donghua Shuang began lecturing on the illusory realm again. Similarly, he lectured on the illusory realm from the transcendent realm all the way to the void god realm. He lectured on it for a total of 18 hours. The public lecture on the Tao had temporarily ended, and it was time for the cultivators to seek guidance. If you have any doubts, you can ask me now. Donghua Shuang stopped. He chuckled. His voice reverberated across the entire venue. Senior. Senior Dongbua. Thousands of cultivators who had been sitting cross-legged, lying down, or sitting cross-legged, stood up. According to the rules of the Star Convention, standing up during the lecture meant that they needed guidance. Those who stood up were practically all below the Void God level, and there were only a dozen or so Void Gods. After all, the first stage of the Tao lecture was mainly for those at the lower levels. All of you, come up. Dongbua Shuang manipulated the void and instantly took control of 300 cultivators. The weakest among them was just a child at the transcendent level while the strongest was at the origin birth level. It was impossible for him to give pointers to everyone because there was a time limit to the lecture. Usually, he would only give pointers to a few. Actually, giving pointers was enough. Many cultivators had similar problems. So, under the control of Dongbua Shuang, the 300 cultivators flew onto the stage. All of them were excited. They were lucky to have the chance to learn from him. Senior Dongbo, the 300 cultivators, regardless of their race, all bowed respectfully. One by one. Dongbua Shuang chuckled. His gaze landed on the weakest child, a slightly plump lass. This lass was slightly nervous. Her father was an attendant in a restaurant in Blade Emperor City. She was born in Blade Emperor City, and that was why she had the chance to listen to the lecture. In the sacred world, she was a transcendent at birth, and her intelligence was naturally high. But she could only understand a small portion of what Dongbua Shuang said at the start, and could not understand the rest. Senior. The lass's voice was clear and sweet. She obediently bowed before asking. Time passed. Dongbua Shuang spent 18 hours on the first stage of the Tao lecture. After that, he spent close to 20 hours guiding the 300 cultivators. Only then did he begin the second stage of the Tao lecture. The second stage mainly talked about the Void God origin birth realm. He first talked about slaughter before talking about the illusory realm. But this time, he only spent 24 hours. Later on, he also taught 300 cultivators, but it took him 40 hours. The third stage of the Tao lecture was about the Void God Unity Realm. Many cultivators below were intoxicated as they listened. They felt even more admiration and respect towards Dongbua Shuang. Lecturing about the Tao required genuine knowledge. This senior Dongbua was the only Unity Realm expert amongst the 5 teachers of the convention, and his explanations were amazing, allowing them to comprehend more frequently. And the primal chaos giants above were also listening patiently because this was a Tao lecture prepared by the 6 great holy grounds for the ordinary cultivators. Dongbua Shuang is indeed the strongest Unity Realm expert in the 2 great sacred worlds. He also cultivates the laws and profound mysteries system. His explanations are detailed and direct to the core. The primal chaos giants were also discussing with one another through voice transmissions. Indeed, in terms of Tao discussion, the laws and profound mysteries system and the hex cultivation system were the best, and their explanations were clearer. Not bad. Even primal chaos giants might not be able to guide these ordinary cultivators as well as this Dongbua Shuang. They were evaluating each other. And Bayun Palace Master, who had always wanted to find fault with them, was watching coldly. He felt unhappy in his heart. Even if he was not willing to admit it, he understood in his heart that Dongbua Shuang had taught many aspects that Bayun Palace Master had never thought of. Because he only needed to improve the Imperial Dragon inheritance for the ancient cultivation. He has finally talked about the Unity Realm. The more profound the lecture, the easier it is for him to make a mistake. Bayun Palace Master was selfish and had a conceited personality. The better Dongbua Shuang performed in the Star Convention, the more unhappy he became. The ordinary cultivators below were too lazy to care about the disputes between the higher-ups. They only knew that this senior Dongbua's Tao lecture was of great help to them. All of them were immersed in listening. Even if they did not understand, they would rely on their memories to remember everything. It's just that when Dongbua Shuang lectured on the Tao, some scenes were too profound, and they could not remember them. Perhaps they could remember the content, and in the future, they could relive it again and again. Finally, as the Tao lecture got more profound, Dongbo Shuiying's lecture on the Unity Realm, Tao of Massacre, had already reached the level of the 6th floor of Star Tower. This was also the highest level of his Tao lecture. And then, Ba Yun Palace Master's eyes suddenly lit up. What a joke. Those who are strong would naturally be able to lecture on the Tao easily. He is only at the 6th floor of Star Tower and he dares to lecture on this level of Tao. As expected, I have discovered a problem. The Unity Realm was much more complicated. Dongbo Shuang lectured for a total of 60 hours before stopping. If you have any doubts, you can come and ask me, Dongbo Shuang said. The cultivators below immediately stood up. Several tens of thousands of them were all at the Unity Realm. One must know that other than the locals of Blade Emperor City, it would not be easy for outsiders to rush over. Just the teleportation array fee alone was not low. Thus, those who could rush over from other places were usually strong and had reached the Unity Realm. Shuang then proceeded to pick out 300 of them. As long as he finished guiding these 300, his lecture on the Tao would be over. Elder Dongbua, I have some understanding of the Tao of Slaughter. I hope for Elder Dongbua to guide me. A voice sounded. Dongbua Shuang, who was seated cross-legged on the battle platform, looked up. He saw a thin male stepping on the void and landing on the battle platform. This caused Dongbua Shuang to be slightly startled. It was him. Ba Yun Palace Master. And then, Primal Chaos Realm. The cultivators below were slightly excited. During the public lecture on the Tao in the Star Convention, most Primal Chaos Giants would be the teachers of the convention. When they lectured on the Tao, they would also talk about breaking through to the Primal Chaos Realm. At this moment, it would attract the suspicions of the other Primal Chaos Giants. Two Primal Chaos Giants would debate on the Tao on the battle platform. This was a good thing. They had different understandings. They were both Primal Chaos Giants, and their debate on the Tao would be helpful to some of the Unity Realm cultivators below in breaking through to the Primal Chaos Realm. It's just that, Dongbua Shuang was only at the Unity Realm. When he lectured on the Tao, even the Primal Chaos Giants felt that no one would lower their status to question him. After all, it was unfair for a Primal Chaos Giant to question a Unity Realm cultivator. Such questioning was akin to smacking the other party's face. Ba Yun Palace Master. Dongbua Shuang immediately stood up. It was not good for him to continue sitting cross-legged facing a Primal Chaos expert. I don't have any other intentions. It's just that for the sake of the cultivators present, I have to debate with you. Ba Yun Palace Master acted as though he was doing this for all the cultivators present. Please. Dongbua Shuang nodded. Previously, when you lectured on the Tao of Slaughter, you felt that the foundation of the Tao of Slaughter lies in storing, followed by releasing. Am I right? Ba Yun Palace Master said. Dongbua Shuang nodded. I dare not say for the Primal Chaos Realm. But at the Unity Realm, I feel that storing is more important. You just have to act against me. I will only display the strength of the 6th floor of Star Tower to deal with you. Ba Yun Palace Master chuckled. In a while, you will understand which one is more important. All right. Dongbua Shuang nodded. Usually, no one would be able to convince the other party in debating on the Tao. Hence, they would fight to verify it. Hong, Heart Imitation Religious Master who was on the high platform immediately controlled the battle platform. An array light barrier rose around the battle platform, preventing the shockwaves from the spar from affecting the cultivators below. Senior Dongbua and the Primal Chaos Expert are going to fight to verify their Tao. Many cultivators watched nervously and excitedly. This was the highest level of competition since the start of the Star Convention. Be careful. With a thought, Dongbua Shuang caused many black long shuttles to appear floating around him. The two ends of the long shuttles were incredibly sharp. And on the other side, Ba Yun Palace Master chuckled as he extended his right hand. His right hand did not even have scales appearing. Clearly, he felt disdain. Chapter 945. Feel free to make your move. Ba Yun Palace Master spoke with the demeanor of a senior. Dongbua Shuang smiled and flicked his sleeves. Swish, swish, swish. A total of 16 black shuttles flew towards Ba Yun Palace Master, arriving in front of him in an instant. At this moment, every single black shuttle erupted with a shocking might. Every single one of them turned into a blurry shadow, and the insides of them seemed to collapse into a chaotic whole. Even under the laws of the saints' world, they could cause space to collapse into a chaotic whole, demonstrating their might. Didn't you say that the Tao of slaughter is about accumulation? This should be considered as accumulation. Ba Yun Palace Master slapped with his palm. His palm seemed to have turned into a blur as he blocked the attacks of the 16 black shuttles. Dongbua Shuang shook his head when he saw this. This Ba Yun Palace Master said that he could only display the strength of the 6th floor of Star Tower. In reality, he should have displayed the peak of the 6th floor of Star Tower. Because every single one of his black shuttles was a peak-grade Void God weapon and they were all using the apocalyptic 6th sword. Even the Thunderflame Pagoda Master would not be able to block them so easily. Ba Yun Palace Master cultivated the Imperial Dragon Inheritance and his body was extremely strong. If scales appeared on his body, it would be comparable to a high-grade Void God weapon. His palms were especially powerful. If scales appeared on them, they would be comparable to a peak-grade Void God weapon. His palms were extremely terrifying in terms of strength, speed, power and many other aspects. Even without scales, his speed and strength were easily above the Thunderflame Pagoda Master. He was most proficient in palms, so he could naturally block Dongbua Shuaying's attack. Ba Yun Palace Master, we will know in a while. Dongbua Shuaying said. Then I'll have to see how many methods Elder Dongbo has. Ba Yun Palace Master continued to smile and did not lose his bearing. At the same time, he continued to block the incoming black shuttles. Swish swish swish, the 16 black shuttles revolved around Ba Yun Palace Master. They turned into blurs as they attacked one after another. Every time they clashed, their might would spread in all directions as they bombarded the light barrier at the edge of the battle platform. Ba Yun Palace Master's expression gradually changed. How can this be? Interesting. Heart Imitation Religious Master, General Hatchet Palace Master, Xinghua Emperor, and many other primal chaos giants who were watching from above had discovered the uniqueness of Dongbua Shuaying's technique. He has improved since the battle with Lei Yan. Heart Imitation Religious Master praised. Indeed. If it was the Dongbua Shuaying during the battle with the Lei Yan Pagoda Master, even if he used the apocalyptic 6th sword, he would only be able to cover the sky and cover the earth in a frenzy of attacks. However, after creating the Destruction Flower, Dongbua Shuaying's understanding of both the Tao of Mirage and Tao of Massacre had deepened. Thus, he was able to execute them more skillfully. The 16 black shuttles attacked Palace Head Ba Yun continuously. Every time they were repelled, they would borrow the momentum to attack again. Moreover, the 16 black long shuttles formed an encirclement that was like a world of its own. It was continuous and its might was also continuous. Not only was its might strong, their coordination was also superb. Ba Yun Palace Master was even unknowingly forced to use both his hands to defend, which was extremely strenuous. How is this possible? Ba Yun Palace Master did not dare believe it. How can he execute the slaughter at the Unity Realm to such an extent? It was too exquisite. The originally brutal slaughter was like musical notes in the hands of Dongbua Shuaying. It brought with it a bizarre sense of beauty. This kind of beauty already had the feeling of absolute perfection of the Flower of Destruction. If it was an overwhelming attack, it would require 30 shuttles to execute the apocalyptic 6th sword at the same time to produce such pressure. Dongbua Shuaying chuckled. The higher the realm, the easier it was for him to execute low-tier techniques. In the past, he could execute 15 sky punishment edges at the same time. But now, he could execute 25 of them. This was because his understanding of the Tao of Mirage had become deeper. He only needed to use less heart energy to execute the sky punishment edges. And the Tao of Slaughter was still slightly lacking compared to the Tao of Mirage. He could only execute 20 shuttles at the same time with the apocalyptic sixth sword. The reason why he executed 16 shuttles was to reserve some heart energy in case of unforeseen circumstances. This is too exquisite. If this continues, I might not be able to defend against it. Ba Yun Palace Master was slightly anxious. Under the gaze of many cultivators, and with so many primal chaos giants watching from above, what if he lost to a Unity Realm expert? Ba Yun Palace Master could not accept it. Elder Dongbua, this weapon is a top-grade Void God weapon. Even my palms can't hold on much longer. Ba Yun Palace Master laughed out loud. Black scales appeared on his palms as he slapped out with his palms. The power behind each of his attacks was abnormally terrifying. Peng peng peng, the black long shuttles were sent flying far away. Because the difference in power was too great, Ba Yun could not borrow strength from them. As a result, the previous feeling of continuity was broken. He has passed. Heart Imitation Religious Master and General Hatchet Palace Master who were watching from above frowned. This Ba Yun has displayed the strength of the 7th floor of Star Tower. Since they could deduce it, most primal chaos giants could do so too. But the ordinary cultivators watching from below had too low a realm. To Ba Yun Palace Master, his reputation amongst primal chaos giants was ordinary. He would rather be mocked by them. He could not tolerate himself being defeated by a Unity Realm expert. He is actually so shameless. Dongbua Shui Ying's expression changed when he saw this. Elder Dongbua, you mentioned that the Tao of Slaughter lies in the accumulation? With this palm of mine, your flying shuttles will scatter in all directions. Ba Yun Palace Master chuckled. Ba Yun Palace Master, then use your palm to break this technique. The white-robed Dongbua Shuang stood there. His voice turned cold. The illusory world was faintly discernible. At the center of this illusory world, there was a black flower bud. It had 3 leaves, and there were water droplets rolling on the leaves. The entire illusory world seemed to exist just for this black flower bud. Closely following that, the black flower bud descended from the illusory world into reality. This time, it instantly turned into reality. Hong Long, the world energy suddenly surged, causing a maelstrom of world energy to appear within the battle platform. Even the center of the maelstrom had collapsed, and a vast amount of world energy surged out from the collapsed space. The black flower bud appeared, completely enveloping Ba Yun Palace Master. The flower bud's petals were black, but they were faintly translucent. One could faintly see Ba Yun Palace Master's figure within. Just this move. Break for me. Ba Yun Palace Master laughed. Dongbua Shuang watched coldly. Since the other party was so shameless, there was no need for Dongbua Shuang to give him any face. He did not intend to conceal the fact that he had reached the 7th floor of Star Tower, so he might as well make use of this opportunity to reveal it. Hong 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 hong, black flower buds appeared one after another, with each flower enveloping the other flower inside. There were a total of 7 black flower buds, with the bigger flower enveloping the smaller flower. At the very center was the trapped Ba Yun Palace Master. Break for me. Ba Yun Palace Master was still abnormally confident. His understanding of the Tao of Mirage was extremely low, and he did not realize how terrifying the Flower of Destruction, which had completely converged into the shape of a flower bud, was. Perhaps only when it bloomed did he understand how terrifying this move was. Boom! Ba Yun Palace Master stabbed out furiously with both his palms. The black flower bud was incomparably tough, and before it bloomed, it already had a binding effect. As he stabbed out furiously, the innermost black flower bud instantly started to be destroyed. The petals bloomed, and along with the leaves, they turned into black air currents and started to collapse. Ba Yun Palace Master's hands broke apart the first black flower bud, but before he could rejoice, he felt a terrifying force surging towards him. Even though he was arrogant, he still didn't have scales on the surface of his body. But under this force, his body was immediately torn apart, and he was instantly injured. This was also because Dongbu Shuang had been lenient, only allowing the first black flower bud to explode. If all 7 flowers were to explode, and he still didn't have scales on the surface of his body, he would have instantly been severely injured. What? Ba Yun Palace Master's expression changed. It was just a black flower bud, and he couldn't care less about it. His body rapidly recovered, and black scales also appeared on the surface of his body. His entire body was covered with a layer of black scales, and both his defense and offense were extremely strong. This was the power of the Imperial Dragon inheritance. Break it for me. A phenomenon appeared behind Ba Yun Palace Master. A huge black-scaled mutated beast illusion was incomparably conspicuous. Part of the mutated beast's body had even left the region of the black flower bud. Because the mutated beast was illusory, the black flower bud did not obstruct it. All the primal chaos giants above were currently looking down with slight shock. Ba Yun Palace Master was going all out. Break! The front claws of the huge black-scaled mutated beast overlapped with the palms of Ba Yun Palace Master. They abruptly slammed against the black flower bud. Peng peng peng, as they broke apart the black flower bud, every single black flower bud began blossoming. Even though waves of destructive force were acting on his body, Ba Yun Palace Master still withstood it with a savage expression. He forcefully broke apart 5 black flower buds in one breath. Following that, he once again exerted his strength to break apart the outermost black flower bud. The 7 black flower buds in front and behind finally broke apart. What a pity! At the moment they broke apart, another 7 black flower buds descended. The surrounding world energy formed into a berserk maelstrom. The center of the maelstrom collapsed, and a vast amount of world energy was pouring in from the collapsed hole. Hong 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 hong, Ba Yun Palace Master was frantically attacking. But Dongbu Shuang simply stood in the distance. He controlled the black flower buds to descend, preventing Ba Yun Palace Master from rushing out. If not for the soul enhancement from Cinnabar's inheritance, Dongbu Shuaying's soul could only produce a single black flower bud. And because the soul of Cinnabar's inheritance was sufficiently powerful, he could produce 7 black flower buds. It was clearly sufficient to suppress Ba Yun Palace Master. But the scaled armor of Ba Yun Palace Master was comparable to an upper-graded Void God weapon, and he could resist against it. This. After striking several times, Ba Yun Palace Master stopped. He stared blankly at the enormous black flower petals in front of him. 7 black flower buds, one wrapped around the other, still trapping him. So what if the defenses of his body were strong? He could not kill his way out. He was a primal chaos giant with the strength of the 7th floor of Star Tower, yet he was trapped within these 7 flowers and could not get out. Not only could he not win after going all out, he was even at a disadvantage. He could only rely on the scaled armor to survive. Could he have reached the 7th floor of Star Tower? Ba Yun Palace Master could vaguely see that figure on the battle platform through the translucent enormous black flower petals. He still did not dare believe it. On the high platform. When Dongbu Shuang produced the black flower buds, General Hatchet Palace Master, who had his heart in suspense, suddenly stood up. He stared at those 7 black flower buds. That is not just him. At this moment, a total of 8 primal chaos giants could not help but stand up. They stared down with shock. Even though Heart Imitation Religious Master and the others did not stand up, a huge wave was surging in their hearts. 7th floor of Star Tower. To be able to completely suppress Ba Yun Palace Master and even hold a clear advantage, Dongbu Shuang was unquestionably at the strength of the 7th floor of Star Tower. In the history of the 2 great sacred worlds, there were only 2 Unity Realm experts who reached the 7th floor of Star Tower. If one were to include the entire primal chaos void from the primitive ancient sacred world until now, there were only 8 Unity Realm experts who had reached the 7th floor of Star Tower. Of which 7 had reached the 9th level Star Pagoda strength, and 1 had reached the peak of the 8th level Star Pagoda strength. Naturally, 3 of them had fallen. Hence, it was destined that a Unity Realm 7th level expert would reach the peak of the 8th level within a short period. The chances of him reaching the 9th level in the future was huge. Unity Realm, 7th level. The 8 Primal Chaos Giants stood. The other Primal Chaos Giants were also staring at the battle platform below. At this moment, they understood that they were witnessing history, witnessing the birth of a new Unity Realm expert on the 7th floor of Star Tower. He was the 3rd in the history of the 2 great sacred worlds, and the 9th in the entire primitive ancient sacred world. He was none other than the Great Void Heaven Temple's Dongbu Shuang. This chapter seemed slightly slow. Amen. Chapter 946. On the battle platform. Dongbu Shuang suddenly kept the 7 destruction flowers, causing Bayun Palace Master who was trapped within to fall into a daze. The world outside the translucent black flower petals was blurry, but now, the world in front of him became clear. The distant white-robed young man stood there. He said, "Bayun Palace Master, do you want to continue with the test?" His voice sounded by his ears. Bayun Palace Master looked at Shuang with a complex expression. He then turned around and turned into a stream of light before flying towards the high platform. He returned to his seat and sat down silently without saying a word. He was clear, Primal Chaos Giants were scattered across the 5 great sacred worlds and the vast Primal Chaos Void. It might seem few, but there were quite a few. The Great Void Heaven Temple had 12 of them. Primogenitor Island and Jade Light Sacred Ground had deeper foundations, and their numbers were not any lesser than the Great Void Heaven Temple. There were also many Primal Chaos Giants who did not join a holy ground. Just the 7-star Oceanic Sacred World alone had close to 100 Primal Chaos Giants. Of the 5 great sacred worlds, the Ancient Sacred World was the biggest and strongest, followed by the Myriad Ancient Sacred World, Ancestor Mother World, Eastern Unicorn Sacred World, and 7-star Oceanic Sacred World. In addition to the many wars in the past, there were even sacred worlds that were created shattered. Many disheartened Primal Chaos Giants had scattered across the vast Primal Chaos Void. There were even some Cosmos Gods scattered across the Primal Chaos Void. Hence, the statuses of Primal Chaos Giants were divided. If a Primal Chaos Giant only had the strength of the 6th floor of Star Tower, he would be looked down upon the most. He would be at the bottom, and most would not be willing to come out. They would either live in seclusion or occupy a desolate place to be their overlord. Those at the 7th level like Bayun Palace Master and Clear Song Island Master were the most commonly seen. The majority of Primal Chaos Giants were at the 7th level, and those like Heaven Weeping Sect Master who had a deeper foundation were at the peak of the 7th level. Overall, this level was not bad. At least, other Primal Chaos Giants would give them face when they roamed around. Because this was the most commonly seen level. The 8th level was truly amazing. There were relatively fewer of them, and their statuses were noble too. 5 Luster Serpent Ancestor, Violet Slaughter Island Master, General Heavenlight, and Ancestor Devil were all at this level. There were much fewer of them. For instance, the teachers of the Star Convention represented their holy grounds, and Cosmos Gods felt that it was not bad. Of course, there were some extremely strong ones like the Inquisitive Sky Palace Master and the 9 Dragons Empyrean. They were existences at the peak of the 8th layer. The demonic ancestor had challenged the Inquisitive Sky Palace Master and was easily defeated. The 9th floor. Their strength had reached the Cosmos God level, and most could survive against Cosmos Gods. Cosmos Gods would also treat them as equals. 7th level Unity Realm. Bayun Palace Master felt envy and jealousy in his heart. This Dongbu Shuang will reach the peak of the 8th level soon after stepping into the Primal Chaos Realm. There's even a high chance of him stepping into the 9th level. There had only been a total of 8 in history, and 7 of them had reached the 9th level. Naturally, some of them died, and some became Cosmos Gods. This time, his name will truly spread throughout the entire Primal Chaos Void. Countless experts will know his name. As for me, I will be the stepping stone for him to become famous. Ba Yun Palace Master felt his heart being bitten by the other party. But he did not have any thoughts of becoming enemies with the other party because the gap was too huge. The peak of the 8th level could easily kill an ordinary 7th level expert. Dongbua Shuang watched as Ba Yun Palace Master left obediently without saying a word. At the same time, many voices were transmitted by his ears. Elder Dongbua, congratulations for reaching the 7th level at the Unity Realm. In the future, it is possible for you to reach the 9th level. Elder Dongbua is amazing. Not only did you step into the 7th level, you can even suppress Ba Yun Palace Master. Admirable, admirable. I am actually fortunate enough to witness this battle that is destined to be recorded in history. How fortunate. Many primal chaos giants were transmitting their voices over. They were extremely passionate. Some of them had even lowered their stance as if they were willing to be a head lower than Dongbua Shuang. Because primal chaos experts similarly had to face all sorts of tribulations and dangers, they were extremely willing to befriend Dongbua Shuang. Before this, they still looked down on Dongbua Shuang and were too lazy to speak with him. Instinctively, they felt that they were not on the same level. They felt that it was possible for Dongbua Shuang to be stuck at the Unity Realm forever. Naturally, it was different now. Furthermore, the majority of them were merely at the 7th level, and were not much stronger than Ba Yun Palace Master. I still have to continue lecturing on the Tao. Fellow cultivators, please forgive me. Dongbua Shuang transmitted a reply to those who were transmitting to him. He then turned to look downwards. Many cultivators below were already boiling with excitement. A Unity Realm expert was actually suppressing a Primal Chaos Realm expert. Some of the more experienced Unity Realm experts had already transmitted a message to their companions. Many of them understood that this was a Unity Realm 7th level legend.
Now, I shall continue lecturing on the Tao. Dongbua Shuaying's voice transmitted into the ears of every single cultivator below. At the same time, he teleported the 300 Unity Realm cultivators up. Hoo, the 300 Unity Realm cultivators landed on the battle platform. They were all excited. They were actually chosen and had the chance to seek guidance from a Unity Realm 7th level existence. In terms of understanding of the Unity Realm, Dongbua Shuang cultivated the laws and profound mystery system. It could be said that no one present dared to say that their understanding was more thorough than Dongbua Shuang. Senior Dongbua. The 300 Unity Realm cultivators respectfully bowed. This was a form of respect towards a senior. One by one, Dongbua Shuang then began guiding them. Not just the cultivators below, or the primal chaos giants above, they were all listening attentively. Even Heart Imitation Religious Master, Xinghua Emperor, General Hatchet Palace Master and others were listening seriously. After a total of 18 hours, he had finished guiding the 300 Unity Realm cultivators. Dongbua Shuang controlled the void to send these 300 cultivators down. This time, I have finished lecturing on the Tao. It is time for the other teachers of the convention. Dongbua Shuang laughed. He then turned into a stream of light and flew up the high platform, returning to his seat. According to the order, General Heaven Light stood up. He looked at Dongbua Shuang by the side. In the past, General Heaven Light had always been blunt. Deep in his bones, he looked down on Unity Realm experts, feeling that it was an insult to him to be placed on the same level as him. But at this moment, a rare smile appeared on his face. He first smiled at Dongbua Shuang, causing Dongbua Shuang to feel a chill in his heart. This General Heaven Light was bald, and his entire body was faintly covered in a faint golden light. His attitude had suddenly changed as he smiled at Dongbua Shuang, causing Dongbua Shuang to feel slightly unaccustomed. General Heaven Light chuckled and said, "Elder Dongbua's lecture on the Tao has given me a huge pressure. My lecture on the Tao might not be as good as Elder Dongbua's, but I will naturally do my best." His voice reverberated across the entire convention ground. "General Heaven Light is overpraising me." Dongbua Shuang immediately replied, "I am speaking the truth." Below the primal chaos realm, there aren't many who dares to compare with Elder Dongbua in lecturing on the Tao. General Tianguang smiled. After that, he took a step forward as his silhouette vanished into thin air, reappearing on the battle platform below. He was dressed in gray robes as he sat on the platform, his entire body glowing with golden light. His voice reverberated through the air as he started to preach. The 5 teachers of the convention began lecturing on the Tao.
Dongbua Shuang, General Heavenlight, 5 Luster Serpent Ancestor, Violet Slaughter Island Master, and the last one was General Hatchet Palace Master. As for Dongbua Shuang, who sat on the high platform and could relax while listening to others lecturing on the Tao, he was not idle at all. It was fine for the surrounding primal chaos experts to transmit their messages. Experts from the 3 great sacred worlds and even experts from the primal chaos void had sent messages to him through the 7-star oceanic pavilion. At the very least, they would congratulate him. Clearly, as his status was high, most of the primal chaos giants would not be lacking in manners. Dongbua Shuang would simply respond to them politely. As for the hall masters of the Great Void Heaven Temple and those with higher statuses, he had to treat them seriously. Dongbua Shuang lectured on the Tao for 9 days. As for the other primal chaos experts, they were relatively shorter, usually 5 to 6 days. General Hatchet Palace Master had maintained his lowest duration of 3 days. More importantly, in terms of Tao discussion, the laws and profound mysteries system was better. The majority of the other systems would be able to display it. This star convention shall end here. Heart Imitation Religious Master's voice reverberated across the entire venue. Many cultivators were still pondering over some of the experiences they had while listening to the Tao lecture. They were still in a daze, but a large number of them began leaving. On the high platform above, all of them stood up and left. Elder Dongbua. Elder Dongbua. Several primal chaos experts walked over. They even invited Dongbua Shuang to join their gathering. Your son's eyesight is not bad. General Hatchet Palace Master and Xinghua Emperor walked side by side. If you want to take Dongbua Shuang as your teacher, he will definitely be the best teacher in the Tao of Mirage. Ha ha ha. Xinghua Emperor laughed. Seeing how dazzling Dongbua Shuang was, Xinghua Emperor felt joy from the bottom of his heart. Right at this moment, Heart Imitation Religious Master walked over to the side of Dongbua Shuang. Several primal chaos experts who invited Dongbua Shuang by the side moved to the side. The 9th level Heart Imitation Religious Master still made them feel pressured. Dongbua. Heart Imitation Religious Master chuckled. He then transmitted, Blade Emperor asked me to pass on a message for you to head to the Star Pagoda now and attempt it. Not just Blade Emperor, but several cosmos gods will be watching you attempt it. Several cosmos gods? Dongbua Shuang was startled. This was the first time several cosmos gods were paying attention to him. In the past, only Forefather Tianyu from the Great Void Heaven Temple and Sword Master were paying attention to him. They merely thought that he had a chance of becoming a Hall Master. Nevertheless, now that the strongest Blade Emperor of the 6 Great Holy Grounds and several other cosmos gods were paying attention to him, it was clear that he had entered the vision of the higher-ups of the 6 Great Holy Grounds. This was normal too. According to past experiences, the probability of Dongbua Shuang stepping into the 9th level Star Pagoda was extremely high. Alright, I'll head to the Star Pagoda now. Dongbua Shuang transmitted. Heart Imitation Religious Master chuckled and nodded, I'll send you over. Chapter 947. 7-star Oceanic Sacred World, Great Void Heaven Temple. Forefather Tianyu and Sword Master sat side by side. The two of them were chatting happily while watching the scene in front of them. It was the scene of Dongbua Shuang being accompanied by Heart Imitation Religious Master to the entrance of the Star Pagoda. Because it had been half a month since Dongbua Shuang's Tao lecture, Forefather Tianyu and Sword Master were naturally prepared to watch Dongbua Shuang attempt the Star Pagoda. Because the six great holy grounds were like a single entity, the other cosmos gods were also paying close attention to Dongbu Shuang. That time, I felt that this brat's potential is quite high, and it is possible for him to step into the primal chaos realm. Forefather Tianyu chuckled, but who would have thought that I have underestimated him? He actually reached the 7th level strength at the Unity realm so quickly. Maybe in the future, my Great Void Heaven Temple might have another 9th level Star Pagoda expert. By then, my Great Void Heaven Temple will be like the Blade Emperor City, having 2 9th level Star Pagoda experts among the 6 Great Holy Grounds. Currently, of the 6 Great Holy Grounds, only the Blade Emperor City had 2 9th level Star Pagoda experts. The Great Void Heaven Temple only had 1 Primal Chaos Hall Master. The Primogenitor Island only had 1 General Hatchet Palace Master. Hence, it was rare for him to be the teacher of the convention, forcing the Blade Emperor City to let Heart Imitation Religious Master host the event. In addition, Xinghua Hall Master was there for the sake of his son. Hence, there were a total of 3 9th level Star Pagoda experts participating in the Star Convention this time. This was rarely seen in history. Furthermore, there was even a Unity Realm 7th level expert appearing in this Star Convention. That was even rarer. Who knows, he might become a Cosmos God. Sword Master chuckled. Cosmos God? That is difficult. Forefather Tianyu sighed, every Cosmos God has their own Dao path. It is only you, Sword Master, who is amazing, cultivating alone in the cosmos to reach the primal chaos realm. After coming to the Great Void Heaven Temple to read through the books before entering closed-door cultivation, you will become a Cosmos God. Sword Master was indeed a legend. Before Sword Master became a Cosmos God, he was not famous across the entire primal chaos void. People only knew that a primal chaos existence had suddenly appeared in the Great Void Heaven Temple called Sword Master. Not long later, this primal chaos existence became a Cosmos God. Naturally, the shock it brought about was much greater than what Dongbu Shuang experienced. Countless experts were dumbfounded. Several Cosmos gods were watching from afar. Because they were from the 6 Great Holy Grounds, the Star Pagoda allowed them to watch the battle happening within. Several Cosmos gods are watching. You have to do your best. Heart Imitation Religious Master said. Of course. Dongbu Shuang directly flew into the Star Pagoda. Although this was the Star Pagoda of the Blade Emperor City, it was refined exactly the same as the one in the Great Void Heaven Temple. Dongbu Shuang was very familiar with it. Who? On the 7th level of Star Pagoda, a blood-colored stream of light surged out from deep within the mountain range. It condensed into 10 figures. They were the 10 destruction devils wearing blood-colored armor. They were slightly different from the opponents at the 7th level of Star Pagoda in the Great Void Heaven Temple. But Dongbu Shuang knew that the difficulty should be the same. Go. Dongbu Shuang sent a thought. A black flower bud appeared from nothingness. It caused a frightening surge of world energy that enveloped the 10 destruction devils. With a thought, many flowers appeared one after another. A total of 7 black flower buds appeared. One flower wrapped around the other, and the innermost layer was the 10 startled destruction devils. After all, Dongbu Shuaying's technique descended from the void, and it could not be dodged at all. The surrounding maelstrom of world energy had yet to dissipate when Dongbu Shuaying shouted, "Extinguish!" He did not show any mercy. He immediately unleashed 7 destruction flowers at the same time. Hong hong hong, even when facing Ba Yun Palace Master, Dongbu Shuang was not so ruthless. The 7 black flower buds bloomed at the same time. When it bloomed beautifully, it was also the moment when its destructive power was revealed. The 10 destruction devils let out ear-piercing roars of shock and fury. When everything dissipated, it revealed the 2 heavily injured destruction devils within. With just a single full-powered move, the other 8 destruction devils had died, and 2 were heavily injured. These 2 had extremely strong defenses. It was primarily because the power of the 7 destruction flowers of Dongbu Shuang was dispersed across the 10 destruction devils, allowing them to survive. The remaining two destruction devils were horrified. They wanted to escape. But it was too late. Extinguish! Dongbua Shuang once again unleashed the 7 black destruction flowers. When the destruction flowers bloomed, those 2 remaining destruction devils had died too. That time, I've unleashed my domain, illusory realm, and sky punishment edge. I've risked my life and relied on my body's defenses to hold on, spending a long time before killing 8 destruction devils. But now, they have been exterminated in the blink of an eye. Dongbua Shuang sighed in his heart. He knew that his combat power should be considered not bad in the 7th floor of Star Tower. According to his judgment, just a single destruction flower was sufficient to reach the threshold of the 7th floor of Star Tower. Since he could unleash 7 flowers, he would naturally be much stronger. Let's go and have a look at the 8th floor. Dongbua Shuang wanted to experience the power of the 8th floor. Show! He charged into the sky and flew into the maelstrom passage high up in the sky. The 8th level of Star Tower was actually an enormous battle platform. Countless golden light condensed on the surface of the battle platform, condensing into an expert of a foreign race wearing a tight-fitting golden armor. That golden armor was as tight as skin. He had 3 thin and long tails, and the tips of the tails were incredibly sharp. He had 2 arms that reached his knees. Golden armored destruction devil. Dongbua Shuang thought. He understood quite a bit of information regarding the destruction devils. The destruction devils were divided into 3 main grades: gray armored, blood armored, and golden armored. The weakest of the golden armored destruction devils were at the 7th floor of Star Tower, and the strongest were at the 9th floor. And above them, there were also destruction devils that were comparable to cosmos gods. They did not have any specific appearances, and when they kept their wicked destructive aura within, most primal chaos existences would find it hard to discover them. Unity Realm. This golden armored destruction devil looked at Dongbua Shuang with slight shock. Exterminate. Dongbua Shuang did not hesitate to send down 7 destruction flowers. Under the power of the 7 destruction flowers, even though the skin of this golden armored destruction devil was slightly damaged, it recovered in the blink of an eye. Die! He immediately forced his way into the region 500 kilometers away from Dongbua Shuang. Because this region was within Dongbua Shuang's law domain, a law domain reconstructed using the structure of the destruction flowers, this destruction devil could not teleport in, and could only rely on his speed to kill his way in. Too fast. Dongbua Shuang hurriedly unleashed the destruction flowers, yet his speed was still too slow. He was forced to teleport and evade. Even when 1 or 2 flowers enveloped him, the other party would immediately tear apart and rush out. The destruction devil was too fast. Dongbua Shuang's offense could not do anything to the other party. Just a few rounds later, he was forced to give up. It seems that I am still far from the 8th level. Dongbua Shuang sighed. Even my strongest offense is far from enough. I have to reach the primal chaos realm before I can try again. Several cosmos gods who were watching the battle from afar were praising him. Even though there were 2 Unity Realm experts who attempted the 8th level in the history of Star Pagoda, one of them was Heart Imitation Religious Master, who had admitted defeat almost instantaneously. The other was Great Emperor Ying from the Jade Light Sacred Territory. He relied on his absolute domain and defense to hold on for a few rounds. Dongbua Shuang relied on his offense to hold on for a few rounds. The 7 destruction flowers still affected the speed of the destruction devil. In the Blade Emperor city. Outside a small house by the lake, 2 figures were currently walking side by side. One was the golden-robed Blade Emperor, and the other was a male wearing a light gray loose gown. He was none other than Lord Lo Cheng. Teacher, what do you think of this Dongbua Shuang? Blade Emperor chuckled. His attitude was humble. If these words of his were to be spread out, it would most likely shake the entire primal chaos void. Because, nobody knew that the strongest expert of the 6 great holy grounds, Blade Emperor, was actually the disciple of Lord Lo Cheng. How could a Blade Emperor be the disciple of a primal Chaos Realm expert? He has some potential. Place him in the reserve list. Lord Lo Qing chuckled, he is still too tender. It is still too early. And then Blade Emperor nodded obediently. Actually, compared to his strength, I am slightly startled by how calm he is. Lord Lo Qing said with astonishment, he has revealed his strength during the Star Convention, and his name has spread across the Primal Chaos Void. Many Primal Chaos Realm experts have befriended him, and at this moment, he is extremely famous. According to logic, even those with a strong heart realm would be in high spirits at this moment. But he is extremely calm. I do not feel that he is that excited. Blade Emperor was startled. He nodded, right, that is indeed the case. Interesting. A grin appeared on Lord Lo Cheng's face. The two of them did not know. In the heart of Dongbu Shuang, the person he wanted to deal with was the current strongest expert of the Primal Chaos Void, Sacred Master. Even his teacher Gu Qi had died in the hands of the other party. Dongbu Shuang asked himself that even though this little achievement of his was worth rejoicing over, there was no need for him to be excited. He was still on the Tao path, and the distance between him and Sacred Master was far beyond. Great Void God Palace. Void Primogenitor sat by himself. His gaze could cover every single part of the Primal Chaos Void. But even though the vast void was vast and filled with countless living beings, his disciple Gu Qi was nowhere to be seen. Seeing how dazzling his disciple Dongbu Shuang was, he was delighted. But Gu Qi could not see him. He could not forget that after the battle between Dongbu Shuang and Lei Yan, Gu Qi was so excited that he had no one to talk to. He even dragged Void Primogenitor to talk to him for a long time. Gu Qi. Void Primogenitor muttered, your disciple Dongbu Shuang is currently the strongest Unity Realm expert in the 5 great sacred worlds. He is even at the Unity Realm level 7. If you knew about this, you would most likely be very happy.
Chapter 948. In midair outside Blade Emperor City. Sun Yi, it is your opportunity to become the disciple of Elder Dong Bo. This time, you must cultivate properly. If you could step into the Primal Chaos Realm in the future, it would be a great story for us father and son to be at the Primal Chaos Realm. Xinghua Emperor stood there. His unseen aura was leaking out naturally, but his cold and tyrannical aura made every cultivator present feel pressured. Even though he treated Dongbu Shuang politely because of his son, he was ultimately in existence standing at the peak of the Primal Chaos Realm, and had reached the Cosmos God level. Yes, father. The golden-robed young man Xinghua Sun Yi solemnly acknowledged. He was currently filled with fighting spirit. Go. Xinghua Emperor nodded. South, Xinghua Sun Yi immediately flew towards Dongbu Shuang, inquisitive Sky Hall Master, and several dozen disciples not far away. Other than the 10 core members of this Star Convention, there were 190 others who passed the preliminaries. They had chosen the 6 great holy grounds, and quite a few chose the Great Void Heaven Temple. But the amount of nurturing they received was ordinary. Monarch, the few of us will be leaving first. Inquisitive Sky Hall Master Dongbu Shuang announced. Following that, a distorted spatial corridor appeared by the side. Inquisitive Sky Hall Master brought Dongbu Shuang and the others and flew into it. Xinghua Emperor stood there watching until all of them disappeared. It is good that this brat could regain his morale. I hope that under the guidance of that elder Dongbu, a miracle could happen. Xinghua Emperor thought. He was different from his eldest son who had experienced too many setbacks. When his youngest son Sun Yi was born, Xinghua Emperor had already reached the 9th level Star Pagoda strength. His youngest son Sun Yi had experienced comparatively fewer setbacks, and he was more tender. He had grown from an infant under his eyes. Xinghua Emperor waved his sleeves. See La, a pitch-black spatial passage appeared in front. Xinghua Emperor took a step before disappearing from the vicinity. This is the Great Void Heaven Temple. Donghua Shuang and the inquisitive Sky Hall Master looked at the disciples around them. This was the first time they had entered the Great Void Heaven Temple, and all of them looked at the vast space in front of them in awe. On the huge floating continent in the distance, the majestic, Great Void Palace emitted billions of rays of light. The light illuminated every corner of the entire space, covering the countless buildings on the floating islands in a layer of light. Swish! A figure flew over from afar. It was a green-robed man. He bowed respectfully and said, "Greetings, Inquisitive Sky Palace Master, Elder Dong Bo MM. Go and make arrangements for these new disciples," Inquisitive Heavenly Palace Master instructed. Yes.
The green-robed male answered respectfully. He then looked at Xinghua Sun-yi and the others, "Junior brothers, please follow me." Hence, Xinghua Sun-yi and the rest could only obediently leave and accept their arrangements. From then on, they started cultivating in the Great Void Heaven Temple. Go go go, many hall masters have prepared a banquet and are just waiting for you. Inquisitive Sky Hall Master urged. Oh? Donghua Shuang was startled. Haha, many of them are attending the banquet with their true bodies. Even 2 hall masters who are defending against the destruction devils at the boundary of the void have rushed over. Inquisitive Sky Hall Master chuckled, "Your reputation is really huge." Donghua Shuang added, "Hurry up and don't let them wait for too long. Go." Inquisitive Sky Hall Master and Donghua Shuang immediately turned into streams of light and flew towards the Primal Chaos Palace located at the center of the huge continent. The Primal Chaos Palace occupied a huge area. Currently, a banquet had been prepared within an elegant palace hall. So. Donghua Shuang and Inquisitive Sky Hall Master landed outside the palace. They immediately stepped through the door sill and entered. The seats within the palace were placed in groups of 2 or 3 without any order. Some were already holding onto a flask of wine and drinking, and some were chatting with others by the side. Donghua is here. Hurry. You are the only one left. These hall masters noticed that Donghua Shuang had entered and immediately urged him with a smile. Donghua Shuang also discovered that there was only one empty seat left. As for Inquisitive Sky Hall Master, his true body had long arrived here, and his incarnations had dissipated like bubbles. This time, Donghua has greatly increased the reputation of my Great Void Heaven Temple. Unity Realm 7th level, haha, my Great Void Heaven Temple has finally produced an absolute talent at the Unity Realm 7th level. Celestial Water Hall Master chuckled. Donghua, hurry up and take a seat. Ancestor Devil added, those hall masters who could rush over have sent their true bodies over. The other incarnations have other matters to attend to. The majority of them are still defending against the destruction devils at the boundary of the void and can't leave. Ancestor Devil was relatively emotional too. In his hometown Cosmos, in that era, he had met an absolute talent like Sword Master. Even though he had the heart to fight, he understood the gap between the two of them was huge. Initially, he was already an absolute overlord. It was only then that Sword Master gradually rose. Nevertheless, the Sword Master's cultivation speed was incredibly fast. After he surpassed Ancestor Devil felt the gap between them becoming bigger. Sword Master had even become a cosmos god when he arrived at the Great Void Heaven Temple. He similarly entered closed-door cultivation frequently, and the gap between them should be even more exaggerated. It was fine if it was Sword Master, but now, in the era after his hometown Cosmos, Donghua Shuang had actually risen. He had reached the 7th level at the Unity Realm. Unquestionably, he would be able to reach the peak of the 8th level after cultivating for a period. That was sufficient to suppress him. Donghua Shuang sat down. He was startled, resisting against the destruction devils. The situation is so serious. Ever since the shattering of the primitive ancient sacred world, destruction devils have appeared at the boundary of the void. Over time, the number of destruction devils has increased. My Great Void Heaven Temple is also responsible for a region. Fortunately, Forefather has been guarding it for a long period, and the few of us can rely on Inquisitive Sky Hall Master to help us return frequently. Leading Wing Hall Master flapped his wings before shaking his head slightly. Forefather guarding it? Dongbua Shuang was startled. Right, the Forefather within the Great Void Heaven Temple is merely an incarnation. The realm of Forefather is extremely high. You can't see through it, right? This gathering was also a gathering where the Hall Masters of the Great Void Heaven Temple and Dongbua Shuang became friends of the same generation. They were clear that not long later, Dongbua Shuang would become the 13th Hall Master of the Great Void Heaven Temple. Lingyan Peak. Within the cultivation room of Dongbua Shuang's cavern dwelling. After the gathering ended, Dongbua Shuang returned to the cultivation room. He first lit an incense before sitting cross-legged on the silver silk praying mat to meditate. It is time for me to cultivate properly. Dongbua Shuang felt that it was time for him to meditate and break through to the primal chaos realm. He then closed his eyes. He did not care about the disturbances of the external world. All his thoughts were placed on the Tao of Mirage. He was carefully comprehending all sorts of profound mysteries of the Tao of Mirage. After creating the destruction flower, he had yet to thoroughly comprehend the Tao of Mirage. At this moment, when he started comprehending, many comprehensions appeared in his heart. Dongbua Shuang has already entered closed-door cultivation. By the time he comes out, he should be at the primal chaos realm. At another location within the Great Void Heaven Temple, the hunchbacked old man Forefather Tianyu chuckled, "My Great Void Heaven Temple will also have another primal chaos realm expert. He specializes in the illusory realm. By then, I can tell him about some matters. We will need him to contribute to the Great Void Heaven Temple." Sword Master nodded. Like Unity Realm experts, they would usually roam around taking on all sorts of missions to temper themselves. Only after reaching the 5th level Star Pagoda and becoming an Inner Hall Elder would they be allowed to head to the boundary of the Void to fight. In reality, the battles at the boundary of the Void were mainly fought by Forefather Tianyu and the Primal Chaos Realm giants. The Inner Hall Elders went there firstly for resources, and secondly for tempering themselves. Primal Chaos Realm experts were the main fighting force, and only they were qualified to know more secrets. This Dongbua Shuang is indeed extraordinary. He did not flaunt his achievements at all. Sword Master praised. Maybe this brat wants to deal against Sacred Master. Forefather Tianyu chuckled. The ignorant are fearless. This is a good thing. Sword Master shook his head. I am also preparing to enter closed-door cultivation. Amen, you don't have to care about other matters. I can arrange them properly. Just focus on cultivating. When you are 100% confident, it will be time to act. Forefather Tianyu's eyes were filled with coldness. By then, the other 5 great holy grounds will not hesitate to support my Great Void Heaven Temple. Even if the 7-star Oceanic Sacred World collapses, it will be worth it. At the worst, we can just establish another sacred world. Sword Master solemnly nodded. I will definitely not disappoint everyone. A new chapter began. There was only one chapter today. Star. Chapter 949. Great Void Heaven Temple, Lingyan Peak, within the cavern-dwelling cultivation room. Dongbua Shuang cultivated by himself. His accumulations were too deep, and before he created the destruction flower, he was already 100% confident of stepping into the primal chaos realm. And now, he created the destruction flower, and just as he concentrated on cultivating, he was gaining new insights. His understanding of the Tao of Mirage was also deepening. And then, after cultivating for slightly more than a month, Dongbua Shuang was slightly startled. He opened his eyes. Who would have thought that I would be the first ancient cultivator to step into the primal chaos realm? That's right. Even though he was focusing on the Tao of Mirage and had yet to grasp the complete Tao of Mirage at the primal chaos realm, he naturally comprehended the seventh transformation of the ancient cultivation inheritance Cinnabar. Because the Cinnabar inheritance was originally an illusory realm type, the seventh transformation represented the lowest strength of the Cinnabar inheritance at the primal chaos realm, and he could only reach the sixth floor of Star Tower after cultivating it. The sixth transformation represented the fifth level strength. The seventh transformation represented the lowest sixth level strength at the primal chaos realm. The eighth transformation represented the seventh level strength, and the final ninth transformation of Cinnabar was the eighth level Star Pagoda strength. The eighth level Star Pagoda strength represented a very high height. But to reach the legendary ninth level strength, just the Cinnabar inheritance was insufficient. Black Emperor had cultivated 4 great inheritances at the same time, of which 3 great inheritances had reached grand perfection. Time to break through. Dongbua Shuang shook his head inwardly. The profound mysteries contained in the seventh transformation of Cinnabar were shallow. After all, the evolved Cinnabar inheritance was comparable to it. He did not even need to grasp the complete Tao of Mirage at the primal chaos realm. The laws and profound mysteries system had a high requirement, and he had to grasp it absolutely. But in the ancient cultivation system, it was fine if he could execute it. And now, Dongbua Shuang could clearly execute it. After breaking through, my soul will become stronger, and I can cultivate faster. Dongbua Shuang no longer hesitated. He waved his hand, bringing out some precious resources that he had prepared. He had to rely on resources to step into the primal chaos realm. The seventh transformation of Cinnabar's inheritance was more peaceful, but it was more beneficial to the soul. Naturally, Dongbua Shuaying's soul was becoming stronger. But suddenly, rumble, quantitative change leads to qualitative change. Dongbua Shuaying's soul immediately underwent a qualitative transformation. This was a transformation that would occur when a Unity Realm expert stepped into the primal chaos realm. In the sacred world, the incarnations of Unity Realm experts could not travel too far away from their true bodies. But primal chaos realm giants could send their incarnations over 1 trillion kilometers away with a thought. Furthermore, their incarnations could even take the initiative to leave and drift in the primal chaos void towards other sacred worlds. When the various hall masters of the Great Void Heaven Temple came to congratulate Dongbua Shuang, many of their true bodies were still far away at the edge of the void, but their incarnations could return. Could a Unity Realm expert do it? A Unity Realm expert couldn't even reach 1/millionth of the distance. Was the gap between their soul strengths really that big? Obviously not. Strictly speaking, it was still a problem of quality. 1/2 kilogram of water and 1/2 kilogram of steel might be the same in terms of quantity. But in terms of strength, under normal circumstances, steel would win. Furthermore, it would be a crushing victory. This was the difference in quality. Naturally, if 1/2 kilogram of water formed a high-pressure water blade, it might be able to cut steel. A heaven-defying genius at the Unity Realm might be able to defeat a Primal Chaos Realm expert. But if a Primal Chaos Realm expert became stronger, they could forge steel into various weapons, and their power would naturally be more terrifying. This feeling is too wonderful. Dongbua Shuang felt his soul sensing the surroundings. With a thought, his senses rapidly covered the entire Great Void and even penetrated out of the Great Void. Xiao, his senses immediately spread out. This was much faster than any teleportation. In the time it took for a thought, he was able to sense more than half of the sacred world. That's right, more than half of the sacred world. He could even vaguely sense the location of the primogenitor island. But this feeling was very vague. It was like a mortal looking down from high up in the sky. Everything was blurry, and he could barely sense the outline of the mountain range and the terrain. Within this region, he could even send an incarnation down with a thought. When he deliberately released his senses, this feeling would be very vague. It was like a mortal looking into the distance, and another mortal would not be able to sense it. Similarly, even Primal Chaos Realm giants could not sense this vague feeling from afar. Only a few might be able to sense it. But Cosmos gods were different. The law domain of cosmos gods formed their own cosmos system, and they were extremely sensitive to any senses. Amen. Within the great void heaven temple, forefather Tian Yu who was in his own courtyard felt it. He revealed a look of astonishment before chuckling in the direction of Lingyun Peak. Dongbua, congratulations for stepping into the primal chaos realm. Forefather. Dongbua Shuang immediately replied. Ah, you have just entered closed-door cultivation for a month or so, and you have broken through. That is really fast. When are you planning to open the 13th palace hall of my great void heaven temple? Forefather Tian Yu asked. There's no rush. Wait till I consolidate everything. Dongbua Shuang transmitted back. All right. Forefather Tian Yu understood that most cultivators would have a period of consolidation after breaking through. During this period, cultivators were not too willing to be disturbed by external matters. Primogenitor Island. The true body of Devil Mountain Primogenitor was a true black mountain peak. Two eyes opened on the mountain wall. Ha, Dongbua Shuang, congratulations for stepping into the primal chaos realm. Devil Mountain Primogenitor directly transmitted. Dongbua Shuaying's senses enveloped the entire Primogenitor Island. Even though this feeling was vague, and even Dongbua Shuaying could barely discern the outer appearance of the Primogenitor Island, Devil Mountain Primogenitor could still easily detect him. Amen. There were many myriad world taverns in the 7-star oceanic sacred world. Within every myriad world tavern, there was a master. They were the avatars of myriad world tavern master. They looked towards the direction of the great void heaven temple almost at the same time. Another primal chaos realm expert. Myriad world tavern master chuckled, Dongbua Shuang. Another formidable young fellow has appeared in the 5 great sacred worlds. Dongbua, congratulations. Properly cultivate, and in the future, my great void heaven temple will have another 9th level star pagoda expert. Primal Chaos Hall Master sensed it too. They were both at the 9th level star pagoda strength, but General Hatchet Palace Master specialized in the strongest warrior system and could not sense it at all. As for Primal Chaos Hall Master, his control over his surroundings was many times more acute. That was comparable to Cosmos Gods. The 9th level star pagoda strength? That is a little too far for me temporarily. Dongbua Shuang chuckled. The more he understood, the more reverence he felt towards the 9th level star pagoda strength. The difficulty of reaching the 9th level star pagoda strength was comparable to reaching the 7th level at the Unity Realm. But there were relatively more experts at the 9th level star pagoda strength. Why? Because many Primal Chaos Realm giants had broken through to the Primal Chaos Realm after reaching the 5th level star pagoda strength. Some broke through at the 6th level strength. After all, there were not many who were determined to reach the 7th level from the Unity Realm before breaking through. Even if they wanted to do so, they would discover that it was too difficult to reach the 7th level. In the end, they would give up and break through to the Primal Chaos Realm first. Dongbua Shuang had accumulated enough. In addition to the influence of his teacher's death on his heart realm, it allowed him to create it in one fell swoop. But it was different for Primal Chaos Realm experts. They wanted to step into the Cosmos God realm, and this was the final and hardest barrier in all cultivation realms. Many generations of absolute cultivators were stuck at this stage. They could only temper themselves and chase after the limits. Only then would some 9th level star pagoda strength emerge. Even so, the number of 9th level star pagoda experts was slightly lesser than the number of cosmos gods. After the ancient cultivation, Cinnabar inheritance broke through to the primal chaos realm, Dongbua Shuaying's soul became stronger. Furthermore, there was a qualitative transformation. His cultivation and deduction speed had clearly increased. This time, there were no twists and turns. It was extremely normal. Just 300 years after entering closed-door cultivation, his Tao of Mirage had reached the primal chaos realm. Hong. The Mirage origin in his body finally exploded. It began evolving towards the primal chaos cosmos, This was how the laws and profound mysteries system broke through to the primal chaos realm. Chapter 950. The primal chaos cosmos was the earliest form of the cosmos. At this moment, the myriad existences had yet to be born, and it contained endless possibilities. But to transform the primal chaos cosmos into a true cosmos, the laws were relatively simple and pure. As for the operation of the cosmos, the laws were much more complex. This complexity was not chaos. Instead, it was a perfect whole formed by the myriad existences. That was why many absolute geniuses could reach the 9th level star pagoda strength at the primal chaos realm, yet they could not break through. The difficulty of breaking through was too high. According to historical records, those who broke through to the cosmos god realm would at least reach the peak of the 8th level strength. Even though there was no star pagoda during the primitive ancient sacred world era, and many experts in the ancient sacred world and ancestor mother world had never attempted the star pagoda, one could still compare their strength. One could determine that those who could break through to the cosmos god realm had deep accumulations and were at least at the peak of the 8th level. Hong Long Long, a maelstrom of world energy formed in the cultivation room. The maelstrom began collapsing, and a vast amount of world energy poured in from within. This world energy was being absorbed by Dongbu Shui Ying's inner cosmos, causing it to grow continuously. This disturbance was huge, and it attracted many discussions and guesses in the Great Void Heaven Temple. Such a huge disturbance originated from Lingyun Peak? Unless Elder Dongbu had broken through to the primal chaos realm? Someone else said, he has just entered closed-door cultivation for 300 years. How can it be so fast? Elder Dongbu's mirage technique absorbs the world energy at an amazing rate. He might be practicing it. Elder Dongbu is at the 7th floor of Star Tower at the Unity Realm. Isn't it normal for him to reach the primal chaos realm after 300 years? Everyone was discussing. Dongbu Shuang remained undisturbed during his closed-door cultivation. Forefather Tianyu and Primal Chaos Hall Master did not say anything to others either. After a long time. Only then did the world energy maelstrom dissipate. The primal chaos cosmos in his body was growing completely. Primal chaos cosmos is also known as a miniature cosmos. Dongbu Shuang sensed the cosmos formed by the mirage origin in his body. This miniature cosmos was actually relatively vast. Primal chaos energy surged within. Many weak illusory realms were faintly extinguished. This was ultimately a cosmos developed using the Tao of Mirage as its foundation, and was known as the miniature mirage cosmos. The foundation is already there. I hope that in the future, this miniature universe can truly evolve successfully, nurture all living beings, and transform into a universe of its own. Dongbu Shuang thought to himself. Dongbu Shuang felt that his improvement in the Tao of Mirage was too slow. Thus, he began cultivating the Tao of Slaughter, which he specialized in. When he created the Destruction Flower, he fused the Tao of Mirage and Tao of Slaughter together. He had experienced that feeling of perfection in the Tao of Slaughter before, and it was extremely helpful to his cultivation of the Tao of Slaughter. Cultivating for half a month. The Imperial Dragon Inheritance was already at the 7th transformation. After cultivating for 36 million years, he had only reached the 8th transformation in the Imperial Dragon Inheritance. My talent in the Tao of Slaughter is indeed weaker than the Tao of Mirage. Dongbu Shuang silently made his judgment. Time to begin. Currently, both the Cinnabar Inheritance and the Imperial Dragon Inheritance have reached the 8th transformation. It is time for me to try and create the second style of the Destruction Flower. Dongbu Shui Ying's eyes were filled with anticipation. Destruction Flower. Being the creator, Dongbu Shuang understood that the Tao of Slaughter and Tao of Mirage contained within had to reach a balance. This was the prerequisite to creating the Destruction Flower. Hence. In the cultivation room, illusory worlds kept on appearing. However, every time a new Destruction Flower was born, it would disintegrate. Right now, Dongbu Shui Ying's control over the Tao of Mirage and Tao of Slaughter was clearly much more profound than when he was at the Unity Realm. However, the difficulty of creating the Destruction Flower was much lower. Because creating a 7th-level Destruction Flower at the Unity Realm required absolute perfection. That represented a kind of extreme. However, it was different now. The Tao of Mirage and Tao of Slaughter could still be improved, and they were far from reaching the extreme. If he felt that the Destruction Flower lacked something, Dongbu Shuiying could improve the Tao of Slaughter and Tao of Mirage to make up for it. Hence, in just another 38 million years. Hua! A black flower bud floated in midair in the cultivation room. Dongbu Shuiying revealed a look of joy as he looked at the flower in front of him. This black flower bud had a total of 6 black leaves and 6 petals. Its structure was also much more complicated. Flower blooms. Dongbu Shuiying smiled. The black flower bud bloomed. The flower had 6 petals. The 6 black petals and black leaves directly collapsed, turning into 6 black air currents that killed everything within, causing the interior to turn pitch black. Everything was destroyed. This move is much stronger. It is much stronger than the accumulation of 7 destruction flowers in the past. Dongbu Shuiying deduced inwardly, it might be at the 8th level Star Pagoda power. This was merely a guess. After all, he could not be sure without challenging the Star Pagoda. Who? The surrounding 3 illusory worlds produced a 6-petal black flower at the same time. A total of 3 flowers. The burden on my heart energy is too huge. I can only unleash 3 flowers at the same time. Dongbu Shuiying thought, if I did not cultivate the Cinnabar inheritance, I should only be able to unleash 1 flower at the same time. The Cinnabar inheritance allowed his soul to be roughly 3 to 4 times stronger than other primal chaos experts at the same level. Even though the Cinnabar inheritance seemed to have strengthened his soul significantly when he was at the Unity Realm, that was because his soul was at the Unity Realm at that time. If a primal chaos giant cultivated the Cinnabar inheritance, his soul would be too strong. Then the first 6 transformations of Cinnabar would not even be able to amplify his soul by a single fold. Hence, when he broke through to the primal chaos realm, the improvement in his soul was not that obvious. But 3 to 4 times was shocking enough. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, 190 million years had passed since Dongbu Shuiying entered closed-door cultivation. Snow Eagle, I'm out. A message came. Dongbu Shuiying, who was currently in closed-door cultivation, opened his eyes in joy. His communication treasure spirit had already received an order that others were not allowed to disturb him unless it was a huge matter. But the message from his wife, Jing Qiu, could not be obstructed. Jing Qiu is out. Dongbu Shuiying was filled with joy. Hua! With a thought, the space by his side distorted. Dongbu Shuiying took a step and entered it, heading towards his distant hometown cosmos. Master, there is a life form that suddenly left the Great Void Heaven Temple. A deep voice resounded within the courtyard. Forefather Tianyu, who seemed to be asleep, abruptly opened his eyes. He revealed a solemn expression, is there a special reason why you are here to report? Yes. I'm unable to determine how he left. I can only confirm that there is a life form that left within the region I am monitoring. The deep voice of the treasure spirit continued. Forefather Tianyu had a solemn expression. This treasure spirit was the most secretive protective array treasure spirit of the Great Void Heaven Temple. It was jointly refined by Lord Lo Cheng and Wu Zhu. With this protective array, the Great Void Heaven Temple could be considered impregnable. Even if it was the mysterious ultra-long-distance teleportation, this protective array could still monitor all lifeforms within the array even though it could not obstruct such teleportation. If there was an external life form, it would naturally be discovered. Who? Forefather Tianyu asked. If Inquisitive Sky Hall Master were to help someone teleport through an ultra-long distance, the treasure spirit would not report it. Dongbu Shuiying. The treasure spirit answered. Dongbua Shuang. Forefather Tian Yu was startled. He then asked, did he leave by himself, or did other experts bring him away? He left by himself. The treasure spirit answered. Forefather Tian Yu was stunned. Left by himself? Ultra-long-distance teleportation was extremely mysterious. Even the Voidwalker lineage that specialized in controlling the void had to reach the Cosmos God realm. The lineage of Myriad Realm Tavern Master could do it too, but only a few of them could. Other than that, the most commonly seen method was to rely on the ancient cultivation. There were all sorts of talents in the ancient cultivation, and there were those who specialized in ultra-long-distance teleportation. He left by himself. He could teleport through an ultra-long distance. Forefather Tian Yu did not dare believe it. Ultra-long-distance teleportation was extremely important. The majority of cosmos gods could not do it. Hence, the various holy grounds would usually think of ways to have someone who specialized in ultra-long-distance teleportation within their organization. Even if they did not, they would invite primal chaos giants who specialized in this area to join their organization. For instance, the Great Void Heaven Temple had Inquisitive Sky Hall Master who specialized in this area previously. With Inquisitive Sky Hall Master, many experts in the Great Void Heaven Temple could easily travel to different places. They could even reach the boundary of the void rapidly. There was no Inquisitive Sky Hall Master. The entire Great Void Heaven Temple would be dumbfounded. Dongbua Shui Ying's ancient cultivation lineage isn't the Cinnabar inheritance or the Imperial Dragon inheritance. Unless he has multiple talents, and he even has the Void talent. He is a Voidwalker and might have a Void-related talent. Forefather Tian Yu could not help but grin. You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.